This relates to the moment shortly after Naruto, Sai, Sakura, and Yamato attempt to retrieve Sasuke. As always, a girl with lavender eyes and blue-black hair spied on her secret crush from a distance. Naruto, should I tell you how I feel now? You're going on a mission soon and might not even return. Like every other day, Naruto eats a bowl of ramen at Ichiraku with Iruka-sensei while being unaware that Hinata is watching. Naruto yelled, "Hey Ayame, another bowl here." Iruka asks in astonishment, "Haven't you had enough? You had 14 bowls around Naruto. Where does all that food go?" Naruto responds, "Hey, what can I say, Iruka-sensei, I'm a growing boy," and begins to eat his 15th bowl of ramen. "You can't get enough of ramen, can you, Naruto?" Iruka pays Naruto after his 20th bowl and bids him farewell as Naruto turns the corner on his way home. He notices a girl with long blue-black hair running towards him as usual. Naruto leaves for home because he lacks the curiosity to delve further into the company. Hiyashi did not find the Hyuga mansion amusing. Her daughter hasn't returned home yet. Had it not been for Neji, he would have gone crazy. Neji tried to reassure Hiyashi by saying, "I'm sure Hinata-sama would be back very soon." Hiyashi gave Neji a lethal glance that paralyzed him. Hiyashi shouted, a vein bulging over his head, "What time is it? It's almost past dinner and yet she's still not back." Hiyashi was about to continue when the gate opens, revealing a girl who is exhausted from all the running. With a sour tone, Hiyashi said, "Hinata, you're late. Do you have any excuses?" "Oh no, I believe I was out a bit too long." Trying to avoid my father's eyes, I stammered, "Jigomen otu-san, I was training. IW was too tired and I think I dozed off," by looking down. Much more irate than before, Hiyashi screamed, "Do you know what time is it? You could have trained at home here. You're Hyuga's heiress. What would the people say if they knew about this? Anyway, go get changed, and hurry to dinner." After observing my flinch and successfully calming me down, Hiyashi departs after saying that. I made my way to my room. Neji followed and inquired, "Where were you, Hinata-sama?" I blushed visibly, and Neji could tell. "I know you like that Uzumaki, but please, remember your position at the very least to mind the time." Since the Chunin exams, Neji has softened, and now that he's with Tenten, he's even softer. My voice was soft as I said, "Thank you, Neji-Nisan." I'm not sure if he heard, but he simply grinned subtly. After changing into a lavender-purple kimono in my room, I went to Neji's for dinner. I went to train with Kiba and Shino in the forest the following day. Only Kurenai-sensei was present when they arrived, but no Shino and Kiba. I looked around and said, "Anyo, where are Kiba-kun and Shino-kun?" Kurenai departed after saying, "They left for a mission. I just wanted to tell you to take the day off." "All right, what should I do now? Perhaps Ichiraku's is where Naruto-kun is." I made a U-turn and headed for Ichiraku. Naruto was indeed present, but Sakura and Sai were with him. I moved closer, concealing myself behind a pole. Naruto exclaimed, "Hey, another bowl, old man," clearly not content with 10 bowls. As Sakura paid for the food, she exclaimed, "Naruto, we have to leave soon. Stop eating and let's go, Sai, get him." Naruto cried out, "No, my ramen," as Sai pulled him. I began to go with them. I believe it's time for me to voice my emotions. I'm feeling uneasy about this. "Here they come," sighed Yamato as he stood at the gates of Konoha. 20 feet below the surface, Naruto's loud voice is audible. "It's unfair. You should get me a bowl of ramen, Sai," Naruto said and starts to pout, then meets a fist in his face as Sakura knocks Naruto down to Yamato's feet. "What did you do that for?" "Oh, please stop being such a bother, Naruto." Sakura tries to punch Naruto once more, but Sai stops her while Yamato holds Naruto. "Do you both want to feel my wrath or stop it? Now if you two are done, let's get going," Yamato says, putting on a frightened expression that worked because the two stopped completely. "Sure is a scary guy, huh kid?" Kyubi asked, laughing at his host's fear. I put my head down to cover my red face as I stepped and walked in Naruto's direction. Within a whisper, I said, "Anyo, and Naruto-kun." Naruto rudely asked, "Hey Hinata, what's up?" only to receive another slap. I stooped to assist him in standing. Sakura looked at me and said, "Naruto, please show some respect." The three then proceeded. "We'll be waiting for you outside," Sakura said. Now much more politely, Naruto said, "Geez, with all that strength and she still counts herself as a girl. Anyway, what is it, Hinata?" I had to inform him. I simply must, or else I may not have another opportunity. The words, "Anyo, and Naruto-kun, I want to tell that I were stuck in my throat." Naruto appeared perplexed as he stood there. I made another attempt, but I was still unable to speak. Naruto looked perplexed and said, Hinata, if it's nothing, then I should get going now. I pulled him just as he was ready to go. Wait, I said, reaching into my pocket and removing the homemade healing balm. I blushed and said, Here Naruto-kun. I was relieved that I didn't have a mirror to check my face at the moment. Naruto accepted it as I watch him enter the gates. He says, thanks Hinata, I'm sure this medicine will help my team out very nicely. Don't worry, I'll come back safely, bye, and departs. I said, come back safely Naruto-kun, in a voice so low that anyone could hear me. Hey Naruto, slow down, at this rate, we might fall into an enemy ambush. Yamato yelled, but in order to keep up with his teammates, Naruto did slow down. Sorry guys, I just kinda lost myself there. It's just when I think about Orochimaru, I just get angry, said Naruto. Given that his blue crystal eyes were changing to yellow Kyuubi eyes and that his whisker-like scars had gotten bigger, he was undoubtedly furious. Sakura said with the utmost confidence, don't worry, Naruto, I'm sure we'll be able to defeat Orochimaru and get Sasuke back. Well, maybe not the last part. Sakura and Naruto had the same thought. Naruto, you can count on me. I will help restore the bonds between you and Sasuke as any good friend would. Sai replied. To everyone's astonishment, he uttered a seemingly normal statement. From one tree to another, they leapt. They continued until they came to a clearing. Jiraiya's resources indicate that there is an entrance to Orochimaru's men's living quarters somewhere among those 3 rock pillars. Sasuke is among them. 20 sound ninja showed up just as they were getting started. Using the hand seal for it, Naruto exclaimed, darn it, get out of my way. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, Shadow Clone Jutsu. The enemy was then surrounded by 50 shadow clones using their own Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. The enemy multiplied by 5, every one of them charged thanks to Tsunade. Sakura used her unnatural strength to kick, slap, and punch all of her enemies until they were completely gone. Sai used his unique technique to create a large number of ink lions. Yamato employed Mokuten, his own jutsu, in 10 minutes. The battle lasted for what felt like hours. Without hesitation, Yamato ordered, okay, we've wasted enough time, let's get in there and find Sasuke. But how? I sent a Bunshin over there but it didn't find an entrance. Naruto yelled. Because of Kyuubi's chakra and his arrow senin training, he was completely untarnished. Yamato quickly made the hand seals for a digging jutsu and said, well, we can always use Doden. They descended until they came to a wall. As I thought, the base is just beyond this wall. Well, let's get it over with. Let me blast it down with my Rasengan. Sakura clarified the obvious as usual before he could finish. Then wouldn't we alert every? Naruto, I know you're in a hurry but you have to think sometimes. Sakura replied. When she sees Naruto pouting and ignoring her, she tries to punch him. Yamato said, you two stop, just watch. After that, he put a hand over the wall and began directing chakra into the wall's crevice. Then, through the crevice, a root emerged from Yamato's finger and began to grow, eventually shattering the wall. After entering, they divided into 2 groups. Alright, Naruto will go with Sai. Sakura, you're with me if you encounter Orochimaru. Charge up your chakra and I'll know where you are. But before I could do that, Yamato generates 3 seeds. They swallowed the seed and nodded, saying, eat them. When I focus onto these seeds, I can find my target's location. Now are we clear? Good, scatter. They all then proceeded door to door. They haven't yet encountered the snake, but there are 300 empty rooms. As he strained from all the running, Naruto said, huff, huff, huff. All right, next room. Sai approached from behind. Trying to catch his breath, Sai said, Naruto, let's take a short break. If we did find Sasuke, he might need convincing. Or what if we find Orochimaru or Kabuto? Naruto answered with a hint of discontent, yeah, you're right. They both took a seat and began eating. With every door that opened, Sakura yelled, Sasuke! 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 In the hopes of capturing Sasuke. Sakura, hold on. We went to at least 100 rooms non-stop. We should rest for a while in case we encounter any problems, Yamato replied. As Kabuto emerged from the shadows, Sakura exclaimed, speak of the devil. As he prepares hand seals for a jutsu, Kabuto says, hello, I wasn't expecting to find you guys here. Where are the Jinchuriki and the odd boy? Putting on her gloves, Sakura yelled, none of your business. You better prepare yourself for a beating. Before charging at the sound ninja in an attempt to trap Kabuto, Yamato begins hand sealing his wood jutsus. The icy voice laughed, hee, we cross paths again. Konoha Shinobi, have you returned for Sasuke? I told you he was mine. He came willingly to gain power in order to exact revenge on his brother. You're a jerk. You have no right to discuss Sasuke as though he were your own. Bunshin no jutsu cage. The entire hallway suddenly fills with clones. Sai. Find Sasuke. I have this bastard. Sai gives a nod and walks away as the clones charge. Here, Kabuto is taken by surprise when wood-like vines emerge from the ground and entangle him before Sakura knocks him out. As Yamato made a wood clone to protect Kabuto, he said, "Okay, we're done here, let's continue. Wait, Naruto's chakra is raising, he may have encountered Orochimaru." Sakura nods, and they depart. Even after taking a direct hit from the Rasengan, Orochimaru managed to remain upright and laugh, while Naruto nearly had to use Kyuubi's chakra to defeat all the clones. Orochimaru said, laughing evilly, "Ha ha 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 ha, you have gotten stronger Jinchuriki, but you have yet to perfect the jutsu to defeat me." Then he walked away. Naruto. Are you okay? Sakura quickly began tending to Naruto's wounds after shouting behind him, "Thank God he's still alive." Where's Sai, Naruto? Did he not accompany you? As he watches for another attack, Yamato asks. He proceeded to locate Sasuke. They left in the same direction as Sasuke, who apparently left signs along the way, making it simple to locate him. "Okay, let's go," Naruto said as his wounds healed, eager to find Sasuke. The door creaks open, and Sai, sensing that Sasuke was inside, drew up a snake and called upon it in the hopes of paralyzing the last surviving Uchiha. Sai was rewarded with the Uchiha symbol on the back of a white robe. "Is it you once more? Do you people never learn?" Sasuke said in a voice that might have made a lot of girls jump up and down, lol. While still attempting to get the snake to Sasuke, Sai calmly says, "If you know, then why don't you come back? Naruto and Sakura really want you back." Chidori current. Sasuke's room is destroyed and the snake vanishes due to electric sparks all around him. "Go ahead, you two, run more quickly." After saying this, Naruto began to run, and the three arrived at Sai, where they met Sasuke again after the smoke cleared. The trio gazed at one another. Naruto begins, "Come on, Sasuke, return with us. You will not benefit at all from remaining with Orochimaru. He simply wants your body, and once he has it, he will use it however he pleases." Naruto's voice carried a trace of rage as he spoke. "What is available in Konoha? In order? Some stupid Hokage trying to take over our lives?" Sasuke said, "Forget it, I'm not going back." His eyes were stern and empty, filled only with hatred. "Just kill them, Sasuke, don't care about them." Orochimaru materialized directly beside Sasuke, saying, "Where is that Kabuto when you need him? They're like pricks, obstacles, things that just get in the way at what we're trying to accomplish," wincing at the Rasengan's impact side pain. "Don't listen to him, Sasuke. You can build your own strength, I can assure you. The way is not revenge. What if you were to receive retribution? Then, what would you do?" Sakura nearly burst into tears when she saw her loved one in this state. "Can Sakura-chan, Sai, or Yamato-sensei defeat Orochimaru? That fool over there needs to be reasoned with." With the first tail emerging, Naruto screamed in rage as Kyuubi chakra engulfed him. Naruto, well, you'd better keep your cool and not go over 3 tails. Are you two prepared, Sakura and Sai? As he prepares a couple of jutsus, Yamato asks Sai and Sakura nod in preparation for battle, and Naruto charges at Sasuke, who deftly dodges his claw, leaving a crater where Sasuke was standing. Kyuubi is just a boast for Naruto, who is getting stronger, Yamato thought. All right, Orochimaru, today is your death day. Water style. Missile Dragon. When Sai's ink monsters try to attack Orochimaru, he raises his arms and snakes emerge from them, destroying the monsters. A pink blur then appears behind Orochimaru and smacks him down. Orochimaru jumps to avoid the powerful jutsu. After recovering, Orochimaru stands up and executes a few hand seals in the fire style. Massive fireball. Sakura uses substitution jutsu just in time to avoid the fire that Orochimaru breathes at her side, then tries another attack and conjures up more beasts, and lions and eagles emerge from the scroll that Sai drew before running to Orochimaru. Seeing his chance, Yamato shouted, "Mokaten," and performed a few hand seals. Wood prison. As Sakura tries another blow, Orochimaru's head stretches out with Kunisagi popping out its pop, slicing all the vines and avoiding Sakura's devastating punch. Wood-like vines emerge from the ground and bind Orochimaru before he absorbs the blows of the summoned beasts. Orochimaru smacks his hand against the floor, does a few hand seals, and bites one of his fingers. Summoning jutsu. And then a huge snake appeared. The three tries to run when the snake tries to attack and a voice shouted, "Summoning jutsu. Haha, the great, almighty, genius has appeared." says Gamabunta, who takes hold of the attacking snake Jiraiya, the great, all-powerful. Exactly, the Jiraiya. And Gamabunta's head is topped by the hermit. Hey, who authorized you to call me Jiraiya? An irate toad uttered those words, but he still prepared for battle. Once more, Sai's monsters continue to pop and charge. Sakura continues to throw shurikens and kunais, and Yamato continues to use long-range water jutsus in an attempt to surprise Orochimaru. The opportunity arrived when Jiraiya used a jutsu to create a black tar pit beneath the giant snake, giving the others the chance they had been waiting for. They used a variety of long-range weapons and jutsus, and Jiraiya yelled, "Gamabunta! Fire style! Giant fireball!" It was impossible to determine whether Orochimaru perished there or not because the entire area was destroyed and burned. "Kid, calm yourself down, though I'm all for the berserk part. No point in dying," Kyuubi said. As he avoids Sasuke's phoenix flame, Naruto yells, "Sasuke! Why do you still on insisting to leave us? Why?" and attempts to use some shadow clones, but Sasuke's Chidori current defeats them. Both charge and draw kunai. The forest is filled with the sound of metal crashing against metal. "Give me more strength, Fox," Naruto talked in his own mind. Kyuubi snorted, "Hey, just make sure you actually win, brat." They were at a complete standstill until they got close to a crack. Both of them halted to take a brief break as Naruto approaches Kyuubi. Three tails. Sasuke activates Cursed Seal. 2 projectiles flew everywhere as they fought on. Jutsu after jutsu. Sasuke's leg bore the mark of a fortunate kunai. Sasuke yelled in utter rage, "Why? Even all this time I still can't surpass you." "It's because that all you have is hatred. I have friends, promises, ones filled with hope. They are my encouragement. I never go back on my word, and that's my nindo." "What about you, Sasuke? What do you have to look forward to? Revenge? Or is it something else?" Naruto asks, nearly weeping. "Naruto, there's nothing for me in Konoha. You have me, Sakura and Kakashi. We were all sad that you left us, especially Sakura. Do you remember how much she loves you? Even when you left us, she still kept her hopes up high, hoping one day you'll come back to her. You were like a brother." Naruto is now weeping. "You don't understand the pain to lose loved ones when you don't have the strength to stop." Naruto screamed while crying, "I don't know. I know perfectly well, like how I didn't have the strength to bring you back, watching you leave us." Naruto begins a Rasengan after Sasuke charges his Chidori. After performing 3 hand seals, the 2 charges were followed by the statement, "If you can win me here, then I'll admit there is something in Konoha to look forward to." This time, Naruto's Rasengan defeated Chidori. Naruto then tried to release the jutsu, but Rasengan Form 1 simply defeated him with a tremendous force that pushed Sasuke over the edge of the crevice. Naruto grabs his hand and refuses to let go, throwing Sasuke back onto a nearby tree. Just as he is ready to accept death, Naruto clings to a rock that is dangling from the crack. Sasuke yelled, "Naruto!" and slid over the precipice. "Why? Why?" Sasuke exclaims as tears start to well up. He makes an attempt to grasp his friend's hand. "Hey, whatcha crying for, you big idiot? I beat you, so now you must admit there's something back in Konoha worth living for, and I know. You were holding back, weren't you? I should be the one asking why," Naruto says as he fights. Sasuke finally broke down in tears as he felt sick to his stomach. "I don't know, but I can't seem to do it now. I was focused on the goal, killing you, but somehow I couldn't do it." "Naruto, the rock is breaking. Quickly, grab hold." Naruto smiles and responds, "Idiot, I knew at the moment when you used Sharingan you didn't use the Mangekyo Sharingan." "Sasuke, send my regards to Hokage Bachan and the others." Just as the rock was ready to break off, Naruto falls as the rock splits off. Sasuke took a seat when Naruto's words replayed in his mind. What felt like minutes turned into hours. "Is there anything awaiting me? You? Sakura? Kakashi? I apologize, Naruto." 4 individuals emerge behind Sasuke as he continues to sit there gazing over the horizon. He is still in a daze when he hears someone calling him, but then he feels his right cheek burning and stinging. Sakura yelled, "Sasuke-kun." In the hopes that he would stop, Sasuke looks up slowly. "Oh, Sasuke-kun." She hugs him, much to his surprise. Jiraiya says, "Hey brat," and then asks, "Where's Naruto?" His voice is angry as he asks. To everyone's astonishment, Sasuke breaks down in tears and gives Sakura an even closer hug, saying, "I'm a complete fool. I'm not worthy of life. Naruto sacrifices himself to win me back. That dunce." Dunny's screams from Sasuke reverberate down the crack. They were aware right away that Naruto was not from this world. "Naruto. Hey, as I mentioned, Why did I die? Lee. Oh, please stop talking. While listening to Sasuke's story, they set up camp close to the crevice. Jiraiya, still finding it hard to believe, becomes enraged over the loss of an apprentice and punches Sasuke. Please, Jiraiya-sama, relax. Although we all mourn the loss, we are unsure of Naruto-kun's death at this point. It is possible that he will live. Holding Jiraiya as tightly as he could, Yamato said, let's go back to Konoha and tell Tsunade-sama. He is a very strong man for his age of 50. Sakura, why am I such an idiot? As if the first time wasn't enough, it took 4 years since I left Konoha to realize this, Sasuke said, pressing his face into Sakura's shoulder as Sakura approaches and assists in picking him up. Everyone looks up as if she hit something when she says, it's okay Sasuke-kun, I'm sure this was what Naruto-kun wanted for you. She is correct. Naruto did do this out of a sense of duty and hope, so they shouldn't be sad. They decided they all pitched in for the night, and tomorrow they would travel back to Konoha and deliver the bad news. When the 4 shinobi, including the missing ninja Sasuke, returned to Konoha a week later, all eyes were on him as they made their way to the Hokage's office. Sasuke was met with chilly looks and whispers. When someone knocks on the door, Tsunade yawns and hides her face behind the paperwork, asking, who is it? The Anbu shinobi declared, Team Yamato and Jiraiya-sama are bringing back the missing ninja Sasuke. All right, let them in. Tsunade suddenly feeling elated that Team Kakashi's back. As the 5 people enter the room, Tsunade's expression changed. Where's Naruto? When the pink-haired Kunyachi nodded, Tsunade stopped. Don't tell me, Sakura-chan, he didn't. Then something hit her, and as if feelings of all kinds came together, they also blew out. They told the story, and Tsunade, still not believing that the loud, foolish, obnoxious, dense blonde boy is dead, quickly summons all the shinobi that are available and tells them their mission. To find anything, information, weapons, a corpse, etc. At the location where Naruto was last seen. Some were shocked, especially Iruka and Kakashi, who thought they had misheard, and as they attempted to verify what the Hokage had said, she banged on the table and said, go. Even though she didn't want to, Sasuke was still a good Konoha shinobi, so she called Shizune and went to the hospital. When she saw Sasuke heavily bandaged, she tried not to punch him and did her best to respect Naruto's wishes. The return of Team Yamato and the successful capture and return of Sasuke were widely publicized, but what we couldn't believe was that he was hospitalized under Tsunade-sama's care rather than being questioned. I didn't care, though. I was content that Naruto-kun was back. The others were on a mission, so I headed to the hospital, thinking Naruto-kun might be there. Kiba, Shino, Shikamaru, who was dragged by Ino because he said it was too troublesome, Choji, Tenten, and even Neji joined me. We asked the receptionist for Naruto Uzumaki's room, but all we got was, no Uzumaki registered. Knowing that Sakura must be with him and must undoubtedly know where Naruto is, we decided to visit Sasuke. How are you feeling, Sasuke? Sakura asked Uchiha, who was bandaged. The usual, feeling like shit, was the Uchiha's response, and it appeared that his heart was broken. Are you of the opinion that we ought to inform them about Naruto? Regarding what took place? Unaware of the group outside listening in, Sakura spoke in a sorrowful tone. Tsunade said that we shouldn't, but... For a minute, the two were silent. No, if they knew about it, they cannot live with it. However, do you believe Naruto might be dead? Sakura asks. He did fall off, as tears well up in her eyes, but the sound outside startled them both, as a 15-year-old girl hearing her crush die fainted. Because of his fox-like smile, his tricks, his desire to be Hokage, and the fact that he always gives me the strength to face anything, I did not want to think that Naruto-kun was dead that night. Then, there was a gentle knock. I said, feeling empty, and looked up to see Neji Nisan standing there. See, come I in. How's it going, Hinata-sama? Neji knelt next to me and asked in a quiet voice. As if I had just realized, I was crying and I buried myself in Neji Nisan's lap. I couldn't believe it, it was too much, and he assured me he would return safely. I tried to say something, but I couldn't. I felt like I had a lump in my throat. I just stared into Neji Nisan's eyes while a lot of thoughts ran through my head. Thoughts like Naruto's voice, his resolve, and the missions we had gone on together. Why? He had to leave, but why? He assured me that he would return safely. He said he would. I was crying uncontrollably that night, and as I looked out the window, I noticed how dark the night sky now appeared. A place reserved for the broken. 3 years have gone by, and they were not pleasant. With San's assistance, we fought a full-scale war against Sound, which we won without suffering many casualties. On occasion, I would visit his grave, sit down, and stare at the slate until nightfall, at which point Neji Nisan would come get me. I would walk back, eat, sleep, and put on a fake mask every morning. I tried to distract myself from him, but it didn't work out as well as I had hoped. On my days off, I would visit him. Every time I saw him, I would put on a fake smile, even if it was forced, to let him know I was okay. Sigh, it looks like Akatsuki is getting closer to us. In a low voice, Jiraiya remarked. Intel is getting hard to get these days. They seem to abandon their original mission and now seem to just want to eliminate every country. Worse, they're gaining a lot of followers, Jiraiya continued. Yes, and we have no idea when they will attack. They're in control, so our only option right now is to strengthen our defenses. Tsunade rubbed her temples and said, tell all the Anbu to be more alert. Hokage-sama, an Anbu shinobi bursts in, saying, there was this mysterious letter direct to you. He hands the letter to the Hokage, who reads it with Jiraiya. After Tsunade rips it open, the front of the letter, which contains few words, reads, in 3 months, the Akatsuki will cross our borders. As though the information alone wasn't enough to put Tsunade and Jiraiya in a state of shock, the letter's reverse also reads, I couldn't stand it any longer, so I got up and grabbed a kunai from my kunai pouch. It was too much. I hope that every day someone will say, I found Naruto, or something similar, but I know that's not possible right now. For the past 3 years, Kakashi-sensei, Sasuke-san, Sakura-san, Sai-san, and Yamato-sensei have all been looking for Naruto-kun. Today is my birthday, so perhaps I could pass away and be able to be with Naruto-kun at last. I tried stabbing myself in the heart, aiming and closing my eyes, but a warm wind blew over Konoha and through a particular room's window. Hinata-chan. Hold on, avoid doing it, I halted, dropping the kunai that was only a centimeter from my chest. And Naruto-kun? The letter's reverse. I'm coming home, Ba-chan, and I'm hoping for some ramen. A boy with blonde hair and scars that resemble whiskers stands atop a tree and flashes his fox grin at the very edge of the land of fire. Hinata-sama. Neji knocks on Hinata's door and says, Hinata-sama, why don't you come out? It's your birthday. Then Neji cracks open the door and says, Hinata-sama? Are you okay? I was staring out the window, reflecting on what had just transpired. I was feeling hopeless and prepared to die, but then something changed my mind. I turned to face Neji-Nisan, who was examining the kunai on the ground where I had dropped it. Hinata-sama, were you trying? Neji-Nisan, I'm fine. I just, and started crying. Neji came and gave me a hug and said, it's okay, just cry it out. He was speechless and unsure of how to console me, but he gave the wrong impression. I heard him, I really heard him, and I felt his warmth. Who? Neji inquires, perplexed. He knows something is amiss but is unsure of what it is. Naruto-kun. It was only moments ago that I heard him. I couldn't go on there, crying with joy, and Neji was shaking his head, trying to make sure I wasn't crazy, but I knew deep down that he was out there. He stopped me from trying to kill myself. I dragged Neji-Nisan to the door and said, come on, let's go. Where? Neji asks, refusing to move. It's my birthday, right? There's a party, right? I asked cheerfully, and all of my sadness and depression vanished, leaving only joy and happiness. Neji smiled as she accompanied me to the living room, and everyone was shocked when I entered. For the past 3 years, I had locked myself in my room whenever I was at home, so it was shocking for me to come out, not just to be out, but to be smiling. Did you do anything to my daughter, Neji-kun? Hiyashi, who didn't want anyone else to hear and was still perplexed by her oldest daughter's appearance, asks in a whisper, she seems different. Neji responded while continuing to gaze at his once depressed cousin, who is now cheerful and intelligent. It would seem there's a possibility your daughter is mentally ill now, or a possibility she really received a messenger from him. Who is he? Hiyashi asks, appearing even more perplexed. Naruto Uzumaki. I hate to ask her, but she is the best medical nin around. Go get Tsunade-sama, Hiyashi said, staring at her daughter, who was clearly even more shocked than before. Uzumaki was confirmed dead 3 years ago after he fell to his death while attempting to save the Uchiha. I'm concerned about my daughter's sanity. With a nod, Neji walked away. Tsunade, is this feasible? Is the brat still alive today? Jiraiya asks doubtfully. I share your confusion, but based on the ink, this was only written 2 months ago. With as much skepticism as Jiraiya, Tsunade remarked. But we can't let this information go to waste. No one else calls me Ba-chan except this brat. If this is the case, Jiraiya, we need to get everything ready. Go get all of the Chunins, Junins, and Anbu to gather at Hokage Mountain. Jiraiya said, alright Tsunade-sama, and walked away. He must be in a state of shock right now because he called me Sama. Brat, will you actually return? She keeps looking at the letter before putting it in her pocket. She went to check the outside. Jiraiya erupts and goes downstairs as Neji approaches the Hokage's office. Evidently, Tsunade was staring out the window and didn't hear Neji say, "Tsunade-sama, sorry for bothering you, but I think I need your help." Once again, Neji said, "Tsunade-sama." As she continues to wonder about the letter, Tsunade says, "Ah, Neji-kun, didn't notice you there, what did you want?" Tsunade seemed unconcerned by Neji's explanation of what transpired. "So you're saying that Hinata-chan overheard Naruto's suicide attempt?" Neji nods when Tsunade asks to be sure. "Okay, then let's go see if anything's wrong." She grabbed Neji and ran out, making it difficult for Neji to keep up with her. There must be something significant, Kakashi thought, because Jiraiya went everywhere, looking everywhere for every shinobi that was available and gathering them. To Kakashi's surprise, Jiraiya actually passed a couple attractive women and paid no attention. Everyone had just recovered from my shock, and now they were shocked that the Hokage had entered their house when Tsunade entered the living room of the Hyuga mansion. "Hinata-chan, would you mind spending some time with me?" We followed Tsunade as she said, "Neji, you come too." "All right, Hinata-chan, could you tell me what happened?" Rarely for this Hokage, Tsunade asks with seriousness. Tsunade simply grinned as I finished explaining everything, but before Neji entered her room, she whispered, "So it could be possible that Brad did send that letter. Hinata, bring Neji and your father to the Hokage mountain. I would like to share some news with everyone. Oh, and get your friends too." Tsunade departs after saying this. Neji-Nisan was even more perplexed than I was. "Anyo, what do you think she wants?" "Neji-Nisan?" I questioned the bewildered and startled cousin. "I'm not sure." After Neji said, "Let's get Hiyashi-sama and the others," we departed. After 2 hours. "What's the deal, Hokage?" Not amused by being removed from his duties, Hiyashi demands. "Settle down, all right. Akatsuki, from a source we have, reports to us that Akatsuki will attack us in 3 months' time, so you understand? Prepare yourself for the enemy attack." A Junin queries, "Is the source trustworthy, Hokage-sama? This could be a trap. They could be coming right now if they attacked while we were on other matters." Jiraiya said, "No need for worry, this information is very reliable, if not a lot, certainly reliable." She then gave the Junin a horrifying look for merely voicing doubts about the Hokage. "Then can we have the right to know who this came from? Because we still find it hard that someone found such valuable information." Someone yelled. They began to doubt themselves, and there were murmurs. We just sat there in silence, but my team, Team Guy, Team Kakashi, and Team Asuma were all very interested. Jiraiya was grabbed by Tsunade. Her voice was very low as she asked, "What do you think? Should we?" We were unable to hear what they were talking about, even though everyone was silent. At the end of his sentence, Jiraiya yelled, "I don't know, the brat is already hated. If they knew this came from him, who knows what might happen, but we do need them to trust us. This is so frustrating." Everyone was curious about what was so secretive that not even the great Sanins could make up their minds. Then Jiraiya and Tsunade turned to face us. Taking a piece of paper out of her pocket, Tsunade said, "All right, many of you would definitely not believe this, as you might even find this stupid. This letter was given to us early this morning. The ink confirms this letter was written 2 months ago. We, as Sanins, also find it hard to believe, but..." The suspension was killing them, so there was a lot of tension. Everyone stared at me when I said, "Anyo, who sent it, Hokage-sama?" It was believed that Hyuga's heir was gravely ill, but here she was, standing there, just as bewildered as they were. The thought that her brother was still alive caused Tsunade to cry. "Sigh. This letter came from the only person who calls me by a nickname he made up, which makes me mad every time. A brat, an annoying prankster, dumb yet courageous boy who was thought." Jiraiya finished, dead. While Jiraiya was crying, he carried Tsunade back to her office. "The brat that brought back that missing nin 3 years ago. I can't bring myself to say the name," he said. While many people were shocked, many others were perplexed. I find that I cry uncontrollably myself. Everyone who was aware of Tsunade's identity was in disbelief, unable to communicate. We all went out. I visited him at his grave. I sprinted as quickly as possible. Others came after them. There we stood apart from the sound of the wind rustling the leaves. There was silence. I said, "Anyo, what, is it possible?" No one responded, even though I wasn't asking the question. We gazed at his tombstone. It's hard to believe a warm wind blows over again. What the wind whispered was heard by all. "Wait for me. 3 months have gone by. Akatsuki actually attacked us at that time, as Naruto stated. However, we lost no one in the initial attack. It was only because they were the weaker members. Though Akatsuki gained a lot of members over time, 1,000 or more missing nin. It's only the beginning of the fight." A voice on top of a tree said, "It seems they were expecting us. How is this possible? This should have been a surprise attack. They shouldn't have known," another individual said. Calm yourself, Sasori. It must be that spy that escaped from us 4 months ago. It seems that he gave Konoha the news, but it doesn't matter. They will be the first to fall. The initial voice replied. Oh, shut it, Ketsu. What do you think we should do, Itachi? Asked Kisame. We can only wait for now. The enemy no doubt has a trump card. Itachi replied. When will that apprentice of mine return? I wonder. He glanced at Kisame, and the two vanished, leaving the other Akatsuki free to do as they pleased. Sitting in her office and massaging her temples, Tsunade is distressed. Tsunade yelled. That damn pervert. Where the hell is he now? Just when I need him, he goes peeping girls. Knock, knock. Anyo. Tsunade-sama, did you call me? I interrupted, unsure of her intentions. Ah, Hinata-chan, I have a mission for your team and Team Kakashi. Your team, consisting of Kiba Inuzuka, Shino Urubium, and yourself Hinata Hyuga. You will accompany Team Kakashi to defeat the stronger members of Akatsuki. They are hiding somewhere and we need to find them and annihilate them. If not, slow them down. This is an S-rank mission. Prepare yourselves. I give a nod and make my way out. I paused and spun around, saying, Anyo. Tsunade glances up. When it comes to Naruto-kun, I still stutter a lot. Anyo, is there any news of Naruto-kun? Tsunade snorts. Unfortunately, no, we haven't any news on that brat yet. Then, when she spots something familiar, she grins, and I blush at that moment. Tsunade-sama hits Jiraiya as she enters. A total of 0:13 seconds passed. Tsunade cried, You perverted ass, where the hell did you go? Out loud. Jiraiya was then shaken so violently that it felt as though his head would fall off. I hastily departed, not wanting to find out what would happen to Jiraiya-sama, saying, Anyo, I will take my leave now, Hokage-sama. At that moment, I heard a sound like an explosion. Apparently, everyone in Konoha heard it, the sound of Jiraiya-sama being attempted to be killed by Tsunade-sama. I hurried off to find Shino and Kiba. They were at the regular training location, so finding them wasn't difficult. I clarified the mission, saying, Kiba-kun, Shino-kun, we have a mission, I said anxiously. This is an S-rank mission. Do you think we're up for it? Of course. We have been training for this the past 3 months. We'll kick their sorry asses for stepping into our land, Kiba replied enthusiastically. Shino said in a cool, collected voice, Hinata, don't worry, we'll get through this, Kiba. Let's go find the others. Nothing seems to stop him, as usual. The voice said, there's no need. Yamato and Kakashi appeared instantly. We know of the mission already. Now all we need to wait for Sasuke, Sakura, and Sai, Yamato replied. A voice came up and said, sorry we're late. Sasuke, clearly irritated by the situation, remarked, Sakura was trying to look for Sai. I was looking for her, and Sai trying to look for me. The words, well, cursed here, caused Sai to pause and reconsider. The Uchiha here wouldn't stop moving. I had to use my summoned monsters to find the both of them. Sakura angrily exclaimed, don't you dare insult Sasuke-kun, Sai. Kakashi laughed behind his Ichi-Ichi tactics and said, now, let's stop this and go. The results of our mission here determine the upcoming battle. After that, they departed, moving northward. A blonde boy with blue eyes who was at least 18 years old said, hey old man, how'd I get to Konoha? The old man saw the Yondaime's insignia on a ring Naruto was wearing on his right hand and said, haha, just keep going east here until you reach to the next town. Head south. If all goes well, you'll reach Konoha in 4 days. The boy said, okay, thanks. And only a yellow blur was visible. The elderly gentleman smiles. So he is the son of the Yellow Flash. Interesting. I never knew you had a son, Arashi-san. The groups leap from one tree to another. We keep moving north. People in strange cloaks were seen in the forest north of Konoha, based on Jiraiya's intelligence. Kakashi, beginning to take things seriously, shifted his head protector above his Sharingan and ordered, everyone, be on guard and mind the surroundings in case we fall into an ambush. Look for a good defense strategic point. We all nodded in agreement and divided into 2-person teams to balance each other's strengths and weaknesses. I was paired with Kiba, Shino with Sai, Sasuke with Kakashi, and Sakura with Yamato. It was getting dark. We have spent 2 days in this forest. There, we discovered a cave and set up camp. Sasuke asks, Kakashi, do you think Itachi's here? Sasuke felt his spine tingle at the thought of the Uchiha clan's traitor. Kakashi tried to reassure the young Uchiha by saying, don't worry, after much practice, I'm sure you and me are more than enough for him. Plus, you also have the Tsukuyomi. I have the Time Rift, Kakashi's Mangekyo Sharingan special. Sakura's eyes were burning as she exclaimed, don't worry Sasuke-kun. I'm sure we'll be alright. We'll beat those Akatsuki Teme. Inner Cha. I'll ask Sasuke out after this, and we'll get married and lead a happy life together. Hee. Naruto-kun. Where are you? I really do miss you, my heart in my chest. Kiba noticed my expressionless face. Hinata-chan, you okay? Is there anything you want us to help with? I gave a headshake. Who knows where Naruto-kun is? Even if they could assist, I could be wrong and he's down south. I simply sat there and gazed at Sasuke and Sakura despite his melancholy appearance. Sasuke appears to be happy. Yamato asks, observing my worry, Hinata-chan, thinking about Naruto? Once more, I shook my head and said there was nothing wrong. We all grabbed a kunai that was ready when we heard a rustle. It was only a rabbit, though it leapt from a bush and fled. After calming down from the shock, Kiba exclaimed, "Sigh, it was just a dumb animal." A chilly voice from above remarked, "And you look like a dog yourself." Itachi, Kisame, and roughly 50 other Akatsuki members are visible to the shinobi when he looks up. What prevented them from noticing? It makes no difference. I was using Byakugan. The next thing I knew. While Kakashi and Sasuke had a grudge against Itachi, I, Kiba, Sakura, and Yamato fought the weaker members. Sai and Shino battled Kisame. Shino and Sai are a perfect match because Kisame fights with his sword. I attacked, dodged, and dodged. We appeared to have lost the advantage as their forces dwindled. After initially holding the upper hand, I also found myself avoiding quite a bit. Kiba continues to smash everything as he charges with his taijutsu using her strength. Sakura threw various objects at enemy groups as Yamato-sensei bound them with his wood jutsu. Kakashi prepares his kunai and says, "Itachi, it's time for your lesson." There were jutsus flying everywhere, including fire, water, and earth jutsu. Itachi and Kakashi engage in combat. Kakashi is giving me time, so I should move quickly. After using a few hand seals, Sasuke charges Chidori and turns on the Sharingan. In an attempt to gain the upper hand, Kakashi pushes the kunai farther before pulling away while both of them perform hand seals. Itachi, why have you not used your Mangekyo yet? Are you underestimating us? Fire style. Massive fireball. As the flames clash, Sasuke unleashes all of Chidori's power. He trapped Itachi, but Itachi was ahead of him this time and employed the art of substitution. After searching everywhere for the missing nin, Kakashi sensed a presence behind him. When he looked, he noticed red eyes once more. Kakashi is enchanted by Tsukuyomi after the Mangekyo is activated. After attempting to use Tsukuyomi against Itachi with his Mangekyo Sharingan, Sasuke is deceived and stabbed on the back with a kunai. Kakashi is having trouble activating his Mangekyo, and Tsukuyomi has been dropped. He was halted, though, when Itachi pushed the two injured Sharingan users back and made 20 clones. It wasn't going well on my end either. 220 Akatsuki were created by the remaining 20 using Kage Bunshin no Jutsu and spawning 10 more. We were cornered, but I know who the real one is at that moment. Sasuke and Kakashi collapse close to us. Exhausted, our chakra and stamina were low. Kakashi claims that although he summoned reinforcements with a dog, he had no idea that things would get this bad. Go defensive. Attack any that comes near us, Kakashi said strainedly. We need to hold out until reinforcements come. Tsukuyomi's impact was obviously greater than he had anticipated. Kisame chuckles. Look at them, Itachi, like whimpering dogs. He gets his personalized sword ready. Itachi and Kisame create 20 clones each with the order, "Let's finish up here." Each and every clone has a fee. Kufu Suika no Jutsu, drowning maelstrom technique, claps two hands together and combines the two jutsus. Fuden Rasengan, wind element. Rasengan. Sweden Hanryu, water element, rapid crasher. Everyone was shocked and searching everywhere for the assailant when a yellow blur appeared from a tree and yelled, "Kage Bunshin no Jutsu." A giant water tornado encircled us, defeating all the clones that were getting close to the jutsu. 200 clones then show up and knock out all of the remaining Akatsuki members, including the real ones. Itachi and Kisame simply left after realizing this. According to plan, they said. The clones vanish, and he wears a white robe with short sleeves, a fox-like insignia on the back, and a robe with short sleeves and a red fire-like design at the bottom. He wears a chunin vest and a standard shinobi suit, like Kakashi's, inside, and his blue eyes are filled with joy that his friends are good and a fox grin. Is it not too late for me? Some habits are difficult to break, Naruto asks, placing this hand behind his head. I was crying because the person in front of me was the one I had assumed was dead, the one who had saved our lives, and Naruto-kun. I ran over and gave him a big group hug, and everyone else followed suit. Yandaime. Kakashi rubbed his eyes to confirm what he had said. A lone shinobi approaches the group, his hair nearly reaching his shoulders, his short-sleeved white robe with a red fire-like design at the bottom, a fox-like insignia on the back, a chunin vest, and an ordinary shinobi suit, like Kakashi's, Inside his blue eyes were full of joy that his friends were safe, and he had a fox grin on his face. Is it not too late for me? Some habits are difficult to break, Naruto asks, placing this hand behind his head. I was crying because the person in front of me was the one I had assumed was dead. The one who had saved our lives. And Naruto-kun. I rushed over to give him a hug, and everyone else followed suit, forming a massive group embrace. Naruto, wow, how did you, Kakashi said, but Naruto stopped them with a wave of his hand. Naruto was correct when he said, let's get a safer place first, this is enemy territory. We then followed his example, entering a nearby town and discovering an inn after locating rooms. We all gathered in the forest. Naruto searched the ground for the right words and began, saying, all right, I know you all got a lot to ask me about, so instead of individual questions, I'll tell my tale of what happened in the past 3 years. Naruto's perspective. I was falling. I had no idea what to do. I used up most of my chakra. I couldn't summon anything. I couldn't reach the side of the cliffs, and I kept falling, thinking I was going to die, until I closed my eyes and was taken to Kyuubi's cage. You can't die yet, kid, you still have a lot to learn and commitments to fulfill. What matters to you? All you want to do is take control of my body and ruin everything. Brat, I have grown a liking to you, your actions have changed me. I will save you, but the rest will be up to you. What are your plans? You and I will merge when I pass away. You will still have all of the abilities and forms I gave you, along with perhaps a double or triple chakra, but there are a few things you need to know before I do this. Go to the Daz Mountains in the Land of Wind. As soon as you can move, you will find a house at the top, where your family, secrets, and everything else are now. Get ready. Although I was still feeling weak, I tried using the summoning jutsu 3 times without success and felt like giving up. Power surged through my body. You are even more of a fool if you give up now. Don't you have someone waiting for you? Someone you'd like to see? You are too dim-witted to recognize who it is, but I know you do. But feel it. Feel that feeling, then use it to brag and do it once more. I couldn't get Kyuubi's words out of my head. Sure enough, I felt like I was longing for someone, but who was it? I thought, maybe Sakura? No, it was someone else, but I tried to understand the feeling, felt something surge in, and did it again. Reminder. No jutsu. I was able to call forth Gamabunta this time, and after landing on his head, I sensed Kyuubi's presence fading away, but not before uttering the words. Brat, congratulations, it's good to know you. Hey Brat, why is it that whenever you call me, it's always as you're dying? Gamabunta gave a snort, obviously not amused at being in yet another situation. But before I could respond, I passed out. I awoke to a dark sky and a forest. I sat up and tried to recall what had happened, and everything returned. I sat thinking, and I began my journey to the Daz Mountains, keeping in mind the Kyuubi's words. After months of travel, I made a stop in Edge, a city close to the Daz Mountains. However, as I strolled around, I noticed that people were staring at me, not in a hostile way, but rather obnoxious. I found an inn, but the innkeeper was shocked but managed to keep his cool and gave me a room, which I entered and locked behind me. My hair was nearly as long as Ero Sennin after months of traveling, so I decided to get a haircut after thinking, weird, I wonder how the guys back home are doing, as I looked in the mirror. Hey, are you able to cut my hair? I want it short, I said, but the barber's mouth fell open. Arashi-san? Arashi? Not some moron named Arashi, I'm Naruto. The barber's eyes widened and his jaw fell even further. All right, Naruto-san, I'll give you a fantastic haircut that you'll adore, at no cost. Oh, I'm so grateful. Okay, let's check to see if there is a ramen shop here after this. Young people are so energetic, haha. Naruto-san, may I ask where you're going? I considered saying something, but then again, Akatsuki won't come this far to find me, and they'll probably assume I'm dead by now. I said, Daz Mountains, haha, exactly as I had assumed. Uzumaki-sama returning to carry on your father's legacy? My dad? What are you saying? What am I saying, and what do you mean? You have no idea what's on top of the Daz Mountains. I know there's a house there, but that is the extent of my knowledge. Well, how about you inquire later? I'm positive that I gave you plenty to ponder. He didn't say another word, and when he was done, he cut my hair only about shoulder length. I liked it, so I went around town looking for supplies for my hike, and when I found a shop, the shopkeeper's jaw dropped, eyes wide open, just like the barbers and innkeepers, and there was utter silence. I would like to get some equipment to go hike the Daz Mountains. The store owner chuckled and repositioned his jaw, ha ha ha. Don't you know that the frequent storms make hiking in the Daz Mountains impossible? Do you not know of another way, Uzumaki-sama? He went on. He looked surprised when I shook my head, and Uzumaki, who doesn't know how to get home? From where did you originate? My one and only home is Konoha. I was growing irritated as he continued to perplex me. Well, at exactly 3 p.m., Uzumaki-sama, proceed to the mountain base. It takes 3 hours to walk to the base from here. You are responsible for the rest. Why do you continue to refer to me as Sama? However, after entering his store, the proprietor returned carrying a box. Here, this chakra blade will aid you greatly to the battles to come. It was a 3-foot 3-inch blade with a yellow sheath and hilt. As I grasped it, I had a feeling that was somewhat familiar, but I couldn't recall where I had experienced this feeling previously. Well, Uzumaki-sama, why don't you spend some time in the village when you return? Then it struck me. How did you find out my last name? I inquired. Everything will be all right, Uzumaki-sama, everything in due time. I couldn't understand why I was being treated like royalty, but I didn't care and went in search of a ramen shop, which I couldn't find, but the food was excellent. Stars, jaw-dropping, eyes-popping, and best of all, free food. I returned to the inn and checked in early because I knew I had a lot of traveling to do tomorrow. After remembering what the shopkeeper had said, I quickly changed and packed up before leaving and making a quick stop to buy some food for my trip. After what seemed like an eternity, I arrived at the mountain at 2 p.m. Whoa. I was slow to pass the time. I practiced some of my jutsus. It took 4 hours to reach the top, where I saw a great house with a slash of a traditional house and a modern house, and at the top of the great doors was a symbol, a fox symbol. At 3 p.m., a rumble occurred, and the base of the mountain split open a crack and turned into a passage. I was shocked, but I continued inwards, and the path became steeper and steeper until I had to use the tree climbing technique, which involves focusing chakra at the feet. Isn't that the sign of the Yondaime? I approached the door and knocked several times, but no one answered, so I tried pushing it open, but it wouldn't budge, so I tried using Rasengan. This worked, and the door slammed open, revealing the interior of the house, which was dark with cloth-covered furniture. I made sure the door wasn't locked, dropped my belongings close to the door, and explored the enormous space. 3 floors and at least 150 rooms. There were living rooms, kitchens, and dining rooms on the bottom floors, and there were rooms, guest rooms, and other things on the second floor. The first room was the master room, and it had a bed, a desk with paper, and scrolls on the floor. I picked one up and found that it contained a variety of jutsus, including attack, defense, and housekeeping jutsus. I dropped it and went to the other room, which was a massive library with books on history, math, science, jutsu, and everything. I went to a desk and saw 2 pictures on it, one of which was of the Yondaime himself. I was perplexed as to why his picture was there, so I picked up the other one, which showed the Yondaime with a woman. I looked at it for a long time before setting it down and opening the drawers to see what was inside, and I discovered a book, a diary, with the name Kairi written on it. I read the first few pages, which told me how they met, went on dates, and other romantic details, and then I stopped near the end. It says, August 3rd, we've been married for 2 years, I've been pregnant for at least 4 months, and the baby was due soon. Arashi wanted me to move to Konoha, where he was Hokage, so he could keep a watchful eye on me. I'll miss this place. August 6th, I've packed up and was picked up by 2 of Arashi's friends, who were kind and helped me carry the majority of my bags. I write this last entry in the hopes that my son will come back here someday and discover everything else there is to know. Our son Naruto. I closed the book and thought, what the hell? How is this possible? I'm the Yondaime's son. I threw the book because I didn't want to believe it, and a letter that was addressed to me slipped out. I went over and picked it up. To Naruto, if you are reading this letter alone, I have a suspicion that Arashi and I are dead. We are sorry to leave you like this, but we are also happy that you have found your family's home. And since you're here, you must be in some kind of trouble. Before I continue, I want you to go to the master room. There is a box under the papers on the desk, and a letter explains what's inside. Now, I want you to learn as much as you can here. Learn how to use jutsus, both defensive and offensive ones. Before you leave, a villager will send you food every day. I hope you will find a girl to carry on our clan, son. You mother, you love. I wanted to cry as I closed this letter, but I restrained myself. I had been wondering for a long time why they had left me, so I sat down and read the letter again before going into the master room. I looked through the papers and found a plain lavender box with golden rims, and when I opened it, I saw 3 things. A ring with the Yondaime's insignia on it, another ring, but this one was a gold ring with diamonds that were lavender and white, and finally, a letter, which I opened. Greetings, Naruto. The second ring is a wedding ring, of course. An oracle, Arashi's friend, said that this ring would fit your future wife perfectly, so you better not lose it. It costs 200,000 ryo. Additionally, a friend of ours will meet up with you later. The ring with the fox insignia is proof of your heritage to the Uzumaki house, and as the next Hokage's heir, I know it's messy, but I was in a hurry. Your mother, love. I smiled, feeling both sad and happy at the same time. I had located my parents, my birthright, my home, and most importantly, my Hokage heritage. Amazing. However, it made me wonder. Who is this friend? Hinata's perspective after the last words. We just sat there and stared at Naruto. I thought, Naruto is Yondaimi's son. But more importantly, Naruto-kun is alive. I went over and gave him a hug. I was a very shy, timid person who stutters a lot, so Naruto was shocked by my daring action. Naruto-kun and the other people in the room raised an eyebrow at me for doing this. Hinata-chan, no, as he held me in his arms, Naruto-kun said, I'm sorry I didn't keep my promise from before, but at least now I'm back. He then raised my head to get a better look at my face, and as tears started to form, he helped me wipe them away with his hand. Kakashi took out the new volume of Ichi Ichi Paradise and poofed away after saying, okay, it's getting late, I'm going to turn in early. Other people soon followed, and soon we were all alone. I take it that you're actually here, NN Naruto-kun? Do you mean this isn't a dream? This isn't a dream, Hinata-chan. I'm actually here with you. My body has grown to fit the clothes I wear now, and my features show even with the clothes. My hair just falls below my shoulders, and my face has matured a lot. I blush a little pink as he looks at me with wide eyes, first at my body and then at my face. I missed you in the past 3 years, he said, and I put my arms around his back to make the hug even tighter. I apologize, Hinata-chan, I apologize. I didn't mean to stare. I just gave him another hug because I missed his voice, his face, and everything about him. He then turned away, and I could tell he was blushing but was trying to hide it. Before I could even notice anything or blush, he turned around and lifted my chin. Our lips touched and then locked, and I felt him try to get into my mouth, so I gave him a hug to deepen the kiss. A few minutes later, we broke apart, panting. Hinata-chan, I have something to share with you. Despite my poor language skills, I missed you. I thought of you every day. I would think of you every morning. When I woke up I would picture your face every night, pondering your actions. What I am attempting to convey is, Hinata Hyuga, I, Naruto Uzumaki, love you with all my heart, Naruto says, blushing deeply red before taking a deep breath. Even though I knew what he was trying to say, I didn't anticipate my dream coming true, so I froze and started crying. He thought he said something to make me cry, so I pushed him down and gave him a passionate kiss, which surprised him but allowed him to give me another embrace to deepen the kiss. After a while, we parted ways, and both Naruto-kun and I were as red as a tomato. Naruto-kun, I have something to tell you as well. I've loved you since the academy days. I have loved you since we were 8 years old. I would hope you would notice me every day. I then gave him another kiss. Note: from this point forward, Hinata or Naruto's point of view will only be used on exceptional occasions. After Hinata fell asleep on Naruto's lap, Naruto continued to examine the girl, gently stroking her face to feel its softness before picking her up and returning to the inn. He then went to her room, set her down, kissed her forehead, and left her room. You can come out now, Kakashi-sensei. Suddenly, Kakashi appears. Naruto, haven't you improved? Kakashi remarked. You even look exactly like your father now. Yamato-sensei then emerged from his room. Can I be of any assistance to you? Naruto queries. Naruto-kun, we want to know if Kyuubi merging with you has any negative effects. Anything? Yamato queries. Well, not from my perspective. I have no trouble summoning the Kyuubi's chakra, and I can reach all 9 tails without losing control or anything. However, I haven't really used the Kyuubi form in a very long time because I learned everything I could at home. Before we return to Konoha tomorrow, would Naruto be interested in sparring? Kakashi said, I want to see how strong you are now. Anyway, I'm going to turn in early tonight because it's getting late. Naruto's matured. The two senseis smirk as Naruto heads to his room and shuts it behind him. Good night, sensei. When Hinata wakes up the following morning, she contemplates what happened yesterday while still not completely conscious, believing that it was all a dream. She takes a bath, gets dressed, and leaves her room. Still in a daze, she went to the lobby and saw Sasuke, Sai, Sakura, Shino, and Kiba. What did you and Naruto do last night, Hinata? Kiba inquires. After giving what he had said some thought, Hinata exclaimed, Where is Naruto-kun? Sakura and Sasuke both gave a headshake. The problem is that we looked everywhere in the village and were unable to locate him. In addition to Naruto, Kakashi and Yamato have also left. Do you know where they could be, Hinata? Sakura said, glancing at me in anticipation of a response. They all nodded in agreement as Hinata said, Anyo, they might be at the forest from last night. They then all began to head for the forest. Reikari. Rasengan. He's really gotten better, but I still have more experience, Earth style. The two jutsus clashed and left a huge crater behind Kakashi, using his Sharingan, still had trouble following Naruto the headhunter. He pulls out Fenrir, the name he gave his chakra blade, after leaping into the air and narrowly avoiding his sensei's hand. Sonic Blade. The sensei barely avoided it as he slashes in Kakashi's direction, creating a wind blade. Fire Style. Massive Fireball. It would seem that Naruto knows how to channel nature chakra to the weapon, and judging from the effects, Naruto is a wind user. A giant fire flies towards Naruto, who then vanishes. Kakashi barely dodges an axe kick from Naruto, who appears above him. Before he is cut in half, Kakashi then pulls out another kunai and puts chakra in it to make it less likely to break. The two clash with unfathomable speed. As they watched from a distance, the group was obviously in awe of Naruto's incredible speed and realization that he was actually on par with Kakashi. They all thought, "This is Naruto." 5 shadow clones are created by Kakashi, and they all charge at Naruto. Naruto just smirks and closes his eyes. His chakra blade glows yellow as he slashes vertically. And then the wolf Fenrir charges through the clones. The chakra-made beast not only kills the clones as soon as it is called forth, but it also leaves behind a massive trench. After barely escaping the attack, Kakashi was kicked up in the air by 5 Naruto clones before the real Naruto suddenly materialized and kicked Kakashi to the ground with an axe. The Uzumaki Naruto Barrage. Kakashi-sensei, how did you feel about that? Naruto smiled and put his hands behind his back. Your father's name truly fits you. You discovered his blink as well. Few people are able to learn that jutsu. However, I must give you credit for pushing me over the edge. After abruptly vanishing, Naruto reappears behind Hinata and gives her a hug. Hee. Anyhow, will you guys leave or will you remain there? Except for Hinata, who was flushed, everyone's eyes were wide open. Then Team Guy whatever, shows up in front of Kakashi. Kakashi, my enduring adversary. What is causing you to feel so battered? You used to have a burning passion, but where is it now? Guy uttered those words. What would you like, Guy? Kakashi inquired. Yes, it was difficult for us to locate you, but my team has the youthful fervor of youth. It was nothing, but the search was irksome. Konoha is in danger. Anyway, Hokage-sama desired the return of all shinobi to Konoha. In front of Guy, Naruto blinked and yelled, "What kind of danger, Guy-sensei?" Neji, Lee, and Tenten were in a state of confusion, puzzlement, and amazement as Naruto held Guy by the collar. They were wondering who this person was, how he came out of nowhere, and how powerful he was. He was shaking Guy-sensei as if he was unconscious and the blonde boy was attempting to wake him up. While tending to Kakashi's injuries, Yamato remarked, "Naruto-kun, you're going to kill him." As the name lingered, Neji, Lee, Tenten, and Guy yelled, "Naruto?" as they turned to face the blonde boy. Yes, youth truly overcomes all obstacles. You never cease to amaze me, Naruto, my rival, Lee said. While dancing like an idiot, Neji and his wife Tenten simply stared at the boy who was 6 feet 3. Naruto reminded Guy, "So, what kind of trouble is Konoha in?" "Ah, we've received a letter saying Akatsuki is going to give an all-out attack. We are to go back and reinforce the defense," Guy stated. Naruto's gaze enlarges. Then he sensed a signature of chakra. He knew well Senpai must be in the area. Huh? After surveying the area, he asked, "All right, who's ready to leave?" Naruto couldn't help but smile as they all turned to face him before responding, "Ready." "Senpai, are you two going to stand there or are you going to come over here?" Naruto yelled. 2 figures emerged into the clearing from the forest. Naruto smiled as they approached. The others were startled and terrified, fearful. With joy at seeing the 2 Akatsuki members, Naruto asked, "Itachi-senpai, Kisame-senpai, how have you been?" "Naruto, what's it been? 1 year since we went our separate ways. You've gotten taller. I wonder if anything else in you grew?" Kisame laughed. Itachi ruffled Naruto's hair after saying, "Kisame, now isn't the time. Naruto, we were going to tell you but it seems a messenger got here before us." "Itachi-senpai, I'm not a kid anymore." "Oh, but you liked it, every day, you do something right, and you would nag me just to praise you." Did not. Naruto was not amused by the revelation of one of his juvenile secrets, particularly in Hinata's presence. "Anyway, are we going or not? The plan is in motion now. The leader would personally come to the invasion itself. We have, as you have told, poisoned him. Hopefully, he would not notice the drop in his chakra levels." "Well, are we going or not? Konoha's in danger and if we don't leave now they'll..." Naruto nodded and turned to face the others before Hinata interrupted him while sobbingly embracing him. Hinata was sobbing as she tightened her hold on her boyfriend. "Naruto-kun, tell me you're not a traitor. Tell me you didn't join Akatsuki." "Why, Naruto-kun?" she exclaimed. Then Kakashi put Hinata behind him by grabbing her with one hand. Everyone was prepared for combat. Sasuke demanded, "Naruto, what are you doing with that traitor?" Naruto queries, "Itachi-senpai, didn't you tell them?" "It appears that we have forgotten," Itachi smirked as he spoke. "Oh great, not only that I get accused now, my friends are turning their backs on me because of a misunderstanding. Well, at least the best case scenario is that we can talk some sense into them," said Kisame. But none of those three took any action that would have prepared them for combat. Itachi asks his younger brother, "Sasuke, have you not learned the truth yet?" Sasuke yelled, "Itachi, the only truth I know is that you murdered all of the Uchiha," and launched his Chidori into the air. Kakashi did the same. "Hey, you guys, why can't you settle down and listen?" Neji shifted into his gentle fist position and yelled, "Shut up, traitor. Anybody with Akatsuki is our enemy." Tenten simply prepared her armaments. "Naruto-kun, why don't we just tire them out so maybe then they will have no choice but to listen," Itachi replied. Naruto asks, "But Hinata-chan, do you believe me?" "But it doesn't help because she is still crying." "Sigh, Itachi-senpai, is there some kind of jutsu that can tie them all up?" "Yes, Itachi does a few one-handed cuts, shadow net jutsu." Everyone was rendered immobile. "Naruto, you tell them whatever they need to know. Kisame and I will go into town to eat. We haven't eaten for a day trying to look for you." That was the end of it. "Nay, so are you guys going to listen or not?" Sakura yelled, "Well, seeing as we're like this, do we got a choice?" After giving a small smile, Naruto took a seat. "Where should I begin?" The group simply walked out of the clearing and started to return to Konoha. Itachi and Kisame, Naruto's senpais, were still questioned by the entire team, including Hinata. Kisame and Itachi could sense glares directed at them, but they chose to ignore it. Itachi stopped as the rest of the team did, saying, "Hold on, in the case." Itachi and Naruto vanished. "Naruto, you and I will go over there and annihilate the team over there. The rest of you, stay on your guard." Then, to the left, they heard an explosion. They turned to see Naruto and Itachi expertly severing the enemies' heads with a single blow after a few hand seals. Kisame interrupted their thoughts, saying, "Hey you brats, the enemy is closing in. Water style. Great shark!" he exclaimed as a giant water shark flew, eliminating 2 Akatsuki members. "Huh, it's Kisame-sama," exclaimed one of the other participants. "What's he do?" Kisami's great sword then tore the second in half. As more Akatsuki members arrived, the rest of the team dispersed. Fortunately, they were taken by surprise when they saw Itachi and Kisame at the Konoha side. 10 minutes were spent in this battle. The other one searched for Naruto while Itachi stabbed him. "Hey Naruto, we got to hurry, at this rate we'll really fail this chance," Itachi replied. "Itachi, Naruto, you two go ahead, I know we're lagging you behind. I stay with these other brats and make sure they come out alive," said Kisame. Everyone else flinched. Reducing their speed. "You guys must be working on something with the exception of a few words." They all thought nearly the same thing. But now is not the time to argue. After using blink and nodding, Naruto and Itachi vanished. The others were in a daze. Even the best of the best in Anbu still leave some smoke behind, so the fact that they vanished with nothing was really remarkable. Kisame cut in, "So you guys ready to go?" But they had to return quickly. Naruto watches the trees for any enemy ambush and asks, "Itachi-senpai, do you think anybody was left alive and made it back to report to the leader?" After using blink with Naruto, Itachi said, "I don't think so. Let's just hope that the Konoha Hokage's spirits are with us." Then, it vanished once more. They arrived in Konoha 15 minutes later. They assumed the best since it is unharmed in the hopes that there would be time to improve the plan. They went into the city to find Tsunade and inform her of it. Everyone seemed to have locked everything as they ran through the streets, presuming she was there to give orders to the other shinobi who were available. They set out for the Hokage Mountains. She was indeed present with Anbu and the other teams. They blinked directly in front of her, hoping that the sight would buy them time to explain. "Tsunade Obachan, listen, me and Itachi-senpai have a plan against the Akatsuki. The Akatsuki, being idiots as they are going to enter the village from one side, south. We are going to lay ambushes there and traps too, hopefully taking a large portion with them. Then, I'm going to need a team. The leader of Akatsuki is poisoned. I don't think he noticed yet, but I'll need a team. Make that 3 to come with me to take out the leader." Naruto said all this in 15 seconds before someone interrupted Akatsuki. Tsunade signaled for them to stop by raising a hand in the air. She stared at the 2 gasping boys, unsure of whether to believe them, when suddenly 2 figures appeared. The blonde, who appeared to be the Yondaime, covered her mouth and instructed her to pay attention to whatever he had to say before turning to face the other person, Itachi Uchiha. the Uchiha clan traitor. She eventually recognized the blonde from the voice as Naruto. She somehow trusted the two of them after seeing them together, regardless of the reason. Asuma, Kurenai, and Kakashi just arrived panting. "All right. You all heard what the kid said. I want movement right this instant. I want as many traps and teams over at the south." No one dared to speak as Tsunade yelled so loudly, "Will accompany Naruto and Itachi in their mission. Shut up and move it." Kisame, Itachi, and Naruto departed and began making their way to the south gate. Even though they still don't like it, everyone is still shocked and perplexed. They exchanged a few glances before following instructions, putting their trust in two Akatsuki members and one of their allies. Jiraiya attempted to slip away, but Tsunade grabbed her. The entire village heard Tsunade yell, "You will accompany them and make sure everything is okay." Jiraiya appeared on the verge of tears. In the trees, hidden from the flying Akatsuki members, Naruto and his two senpai were hiding. They removed a few members in a covert manner so that no one would notice them missing while they waited for the others. The pervert then appeared after the three teams had eliminated about 100 people. The sight of the heap of lifeless bodies, each with a slit in the throat, shocked them. "Finally, we waited for like forever. Here's the plan. We need a team to distract any incoming enemies while me and Itachi senpai fight the leader. Kisame's senpai can't do it himself. That's why we needed teams to accompany us. Another team to wear down the leader, and the last to plant traps. Jiraiya sensei will do whatever. I didn't expect Obaa-chan to get him to come along with this." Everyone was looking at Naruto except Itachi and Kisame, who kept up the hunt. Since this is their only chance, they were beginning to believe in Naruto after he actually came up with a plan with teams and everything. Other inquiries had to wait. After acknowledging with a nod, they all dispersed. Team Kurenai was to set traps with exploding tags, shuriken, and kunai. Team Asuma was to divert the enemy, and Team Kakashi was to wear down the leader. The leader was located. Itachi and Naruto came up to him. The leader had white clouds instead of red, and a blue cloak in place of a black one. The leader just smiled. "It seems I have miscalculated." The leader smirked as he said, "I never thought of all people, you Itachi, would turn against me. This man is named Kaz Uzumaki. He is Arashi-sama's younger brother." Everyone paused, taking in the information. "What I'm about to say, Naruto, may enrage you, but you must maintain a steady composure. Though they have absolutely nothing in common from what I learned in the past years. He wanted all the Jinchurikis inside him so he could be the most powerful shinobi in the world. Then he would use the power to eliminate all possible political threats and establish a new city also. He's the one who murdered everyone in your home when your mother left." Trying not to show his feelings, Naruto gazed at the Akatsuki leader. But how could he, when he was staring at the man who had actually murdered his entire family? The rest of the team went to work as soon as he charged. Naruto yelled, "You bastard," and hurled 3 shurikens at Kaz, who simply avoided them by using hand seals. Earth style. Stalactite. 5 pillars then rose around Kaz, who was smiling. Without using any elements this time, Naruto charges his Rasengan and leaps past the pillars, crushing a pillar in his path. Then, just as Kaz was about to kick him, Itachi appeared next to him and grabbed his leg. Naruto aimed for his head and punched after putting chakra into his fist to boost strength. Kaz was hit hard in the face and sent flying 20 feet away because he was unable to dodge in time. Itachi appeared behind Kaz, poised to stab him, using blink. Then Kaz slapped the floor and did some hand seals. Water style. Aqua pillars. Then, tall water pillars surrounded Kaz, forcing Itachi and Naruto to retreat. Seeing an opportunity, Kakashi and Sasuke employed their own Chidori and Reikiri. When Kaz saw this, he jumped and found himself staring into Itachi's Mangekyo Sharingan. Kaz is trying to come up with a plan in the underworld, but all he could think of was erecting a barrier to lessen the Tsukuyomi's effects. He performed hand seals, dodged many shuriken and kunai, and took a soldier pill to help him recover a little after the genjutsu ended. Summoning jutsu. Otherworld beings. Appeared a variety of dead summonings, including zombies, hellhounds, and revenants. Jiraiya did the same. Biting his thumb, he made the required seals. Summoning jutsu. Gamabunta, a gigantic toad, then materialized. Gamabunta was playing with his pipe when he said, "Hey old coot, what do you want?" "Hey Gamabunta, we're fighting the leader of Akatsuki and he summoned a lot of things. Can you reduce those numbers?" Jiraiya demanded. Naruto slashed 10 incoming revenants and defeated Fenrir. Gamabunta used his enormous blade to quickly eliminate almost 1/4 of the otherworldly creatures. In addition to dealing with 2 Sharingan users, 1 Kunyachi with superhuman strength, ink, beasts, jutsus, and a plethora of projectiles, Kaz was also forced to confront a giant toad and 2 individuals who were almost on his level. He did more than 200 hand seals after performing half seals that no one could identify. However, all of the jutsus in those hand seals, fire, water, lightning, earth, and wind, came out of thin air. The following jutsus were thrown at Naruto and Itachi. Fireballs, fire pillar, ice shards, giant waterfall, lightning blow, lightning arrows, stalactite, fissure, wind blade, and engulf. They used counter jutsus, which negate the jutsus that were thrown when he heard something coming from behind. He ducked as Kisami's Samahata cut above him, stealing chakra. In the process it worked, and it made Kaz even more angry. Low on chakra, Kaz wondered why he felt so exhausted. Even though he hasn't done 25 jutsus yet, he is already exhausted. He questioned why, considering that he could have easily performed 500 jutsus back then, and now he is already breathing heavily. He was poisoned. After seeing Naruto and Itachi smirking at him, he chose to comply with that theory, initially neutralizing the poison with chakra while feigning that he was still impacted. After launching one of his sword techniques, Sonic Chaos, into a stance, Naruto split into 4 and hurled more blade beams at Kaz. Kaz managed to avoid the first one, but the next 4 came at him so quickly that he was unable to avoid them. He pulled out a kunai and tried blocking the blows by concentrating chakra into it. After kicking him from behind and calling forth a clone to cut Kaz, who managed to escape, Itachi reappeared behind him and stabbed him in the shoulder. Itachi simply shrugged it off when Kaz winced and threw the kunai he was holding at him. Using his combination jutsu, Naruto, Kufu Suiga no Jutsu, Drowning Maelstrom technique, claps 2 hands together and combines the 2 jutsus, Fuden Rasengan, Wind Element Rasengan, Suiden Hanryu, Water Element, Rapid Crasher. Kaz ducked as Naruto tried to kick him and tried to pull a kunai to stab the young Uzumaki, but a pink-haired Kunyachi punched him in the face, sending him into the maelstrom. Sasuke and Kakashi used their fireball technique, and Kaz was burned on his left hand. Itachi was surrounded by a giant water tornado. He made his movements slow in the hopes that Naruto and Itachi, who were charging at him from both sides, would be caught off guard when he retaliated. As it turned out, they were both caught off guard, because just as he was about to slash them with his hidden daggers, Sakura struck him in the face once more, breaking his nose and causing it to shift out of position. "Thank you, Sakura. Bind him, Itachi." Everyone who witnessed Naruto sparring with Kakashi knew the move he was about to execute and moved aside as Naruto concentrated chakra into his blade. Kaz attempted to stand up, but was paralyzed by Itachi's shadow net. Slash Fenrir. Following the massive explosion, everyone stopped, the otherworld beings began to poof, Akatsuki members began to retreat, and everyone eventually fell to their knees or butts as a wolf of pure chakra raced across the field, stealing whatever stood in its way and sending it to hell before finally striking and slashing Kaz. After 10 minutes of waiting underground, Kaz emerged grinning as everyone was taken by surprise and grabbed Hinata, who was the closest person, by the neck. "You bastard, Kaz! Let Hinata go!" When Naruto saw his girlfriend taken prisoner, he screamed. "It's so sad that you couldn't kill me, Naruto Uzumaki." Kaz groped Hinata and grabbed one of her breasts, saying, "This Hyuga will be the key to the rebirth of the Uzumaki clan. So soft, now you die, Uzumaki." Everyone, including Itachi and Hinata, either screamed or stared in horror as a zombie brandishing a spear charged at Naruto from behind, striking him in the chest. However, Naruto's action startled everyone by grinning. Naruto's eyes turned yellow with vertical slits, the whisker-like scars grew larger and more noticeable, and his claws grew. But that wasn't all. The chakra formed long ears, claws, and 9 tails, making him look like the Kyuubi now but a human mini type 1. Hee, bad move, Kaz. Red-orange chakra began to appear and envelope Naruto. Team Kakashi backed up. Remembering the first time they saw Naruto with 4 tails, the others watched in silence. After roaring, Naruto used his immense chakra to shatter the spear and kill the zombie, shocking both those who knew the true story behind the Kyuubi and those who did not. Naruto was able to control the chakra, but was he still sane? He claimed he would be, but Yamato and Kakashi told everyone to back off. After appearing in front of Kaz, slashed his arm, grabbed Hinata, and then appeared in front of Itachi, giving him the Hyuga Eris, Naruto vanished without leaving any trace. "I will murder you." A blue swirling orb with tiny blade-like wind formed when he held up one hand. The blades grew larger and larger until they resembled the wind demon shuriken, which Naruto and Sasuke used in the battle with Zabuza. Naruto charged while zigzagging around to avoid the jutsus Kaz sent, performing only 2 one-hand seals. Fire style, Dragon Flame Jutsu, Water style, Shards of Aqua. Naruto just dodged and appeared directly in front of Kaz, thrusting in the jutsu as those 2 jutsus approached at an alarming rate. Fuden Rasengan. The Akatsuki leader was torn to pieces by the jutsu, leaving only a carbon slag in its wake. This occurs during Naruto and Kaz's battle, Man-Beast Taijutsu. Lion's Barrage, 64 palms, 8 trigrams. Attacks raged all over the battlefield, leaving behind craters and corpses everywhere. Genjutsu and ninjutsu were densely distributed throughout the field, and anything struck, in this case, the Akatsuki, died instantly. The 64 palms are protected by 8 trigrams. Jutsu Mind Transfer. Shikamaru's Shadow Jutsu Thingy Amajigi, Shadow Neck Bind Jutsu, Kagamura no Jutsu. As the majority of the Akatsuki were killed by the combined efforts of Team Asuma, Team Kurenai, and Kisami's Samahata and Water Jutsus, otherworld beings, who, despite their numbers, were also foolish, appears they engaged teams 1 by 1, and they fell 1 by 1, 2 by 2, and 3 by 3 after that. Gamabunta showed up and completed the majority of the work. However, the beings continued to arrive, and after about half an hour of non-stop mayhem, a massive explosion was heard, which put an end to all activity. The beings started to vanish, members started to depart, and people started to pant, and it was shocking that no one was killed. Hinata's perspective. Is it done? Everyone was exhausted when I looked around, so I turned off my Byakugan and went to help my teammates with Sakura, who were hurt after finishing Kiba-kun. I attempted to approach Naruto-kun, but someone or something appeared behind me, and I felt an arm around my neck. With a low moan, I bit my lower lip until blood was visible. Then I screamed a blood-curdling scream as I saw Naruto-kun being stabbed from behind. I heard laughter and tried to look back, but I was unable to do so as the person spoke. I knew it was Kaz, and as I looked at Naruto, I couldn't help but feel like a burden to everyone. I tried to turn my head away, but then I noticed that he was smirking. I watched in awe as the red-orange chakra began to envelop Naruto-kun. After all of the features emerged, I thought, Naruto-kun looks cute and handsome. My face flushed, and then I was taken from Kaz's hold bridal style and brought to Itachi. Keeping a tight grip on me, Itachi placed me on the ground and simply said, "Believe in the boy." Sensing my tension after hearing this, I felt a little more at ease. When I looked up, I saw Itachi grinning, and his eyes were not those of a cold killer, but rather those of a brother watching his little brother. I then turned back to Naruto and marveled at his incredible speed. "You have such wonderful senpai and family, Naruto-kun." Not far from the battle site, they all set up camp in the forest. With the exception of Jiraiya, who, mysteriously, vanished, they all sat close to the bonfire. They had built a bathhouse was nearby because Akatsuki had been destroyed. Caution was no longer an issue. They were contemplating what had happened during the battle. It was incredible that they were able to save Konoha from impending destruction without any of them losing their lives. The only sounds in the deep silence were the crack of the fire and the cicadas. "Itachi-senpai, what are you and Kisame-senpai going to do now?" was the first thing Naruto said to break the silence. "Kisame and I are going back to the Akatsuki headquarters and we'll eliminate every surviving member," Itachi said, delaying his response because he was also lost in thought. As he caressed the Hyuga heiress's sleeping face on his lap, Naruto inquired, "Do you need any help?" Itachi gave a grin. "Well, you can help me and Kisame by getting us off the bingo book." The people fell silent once more. Then, without anticipating a response, Sasuke said, "Itachi, what about the Uchiha clan now?" while glaring at his brother. "Well, if I were going back to Konoha, I'll make sure the clan wouldn't be like the old one, but for now, Sasuke-kun, you are the heir of the Uchiha clan," Itachi said with another smile, albeit a genuine one. Sakura dozes off on Sasuke's shoulder just as he is about to speak. "Ah, it seems the little Uchiha got himself a girlfriend. When's the wedding?" laughed Kisame. Sasuke gave Kisame a fierce look after saying, "I'm turning in." He picks Sakura up in bridal fashion and makes his way to their tent. Complete silence once more. "Hoot, hoot," Kakashi questioned, "Naruto, have you completely understood the power of Kyuubi?" Naruto nodded. "No, I can only use 60% of Kyuubi's strength in order to attain all of it. I must train while being in Kyuubi form." Apart from those who were already aware of Naruto, everyone stared at him in confusion. They wondered, what is he talking about? But kept their thoughts to themselves. When Naruto noticed this, he thought it might be a good moment to reveal the truth. Telling Hinata to wake up, he gave her a gentle shake. "Hinata-chan, wake up, I have something to say." Hinata opens her eyes slowly. She glanced around before remembering why she had been sleeping, and she exclaimed, flushed, "Jigomen na Naruto-kun." "It's okay, Hinata-chan. Anyway, I think this is a good time to let you guys into the secret. What I'm about to tell you may bring a shock to you, maybe even to his hating me." Everyone was certainly perplexed now. "Do you guys know about the story of Kyuubi?" Each of them gave a nod after paying close attention. Hinata recounts the story to Sai, who already knew that Kyuubi was inside Naruto, explaining that the Yondaime, fourth Hokage, sacrificed himself to kill the Kyuubi. Kyuubi attacked our village a long time ago. He destroyed everything in its wake. Naruto gave the story a nod. Well, that story is only true to the extent of the Yondaime sacrificing himself. The other half is concealed by a certain law anyway. In truth, the Kyuubi can't be killed. The Yondaime had to seal it inside a child. He used a jutsu to make a contract with the death god to put Kyuubi's soul into the newborn child. Even though Hinata already knew who the bee baby was, she wanted to be certain, so she asked, Naruto-kun, who's the bee baby? Naruto called forth some chakra and lifted his garments to reveal his stomach. The Kyuubi seal then materialized. That baby was me. The Yondaime could have sealed it inside someone else, but he didn't want to burden someone else, and furthermore, by sealing it inside a baby, the baby's body will adapt to Kyuubi's mass amount of chakra. Everyone's eyes were on Naruto. You could cut a donut out with a finger or even a kunai because the silence was so intense and tense. After declaring, I'm going to sleep, Naruto walked over to a tree and leapt atop one of its branches. He was about to sit when Hinata appeared. With her cheeks flushed, Hinata asks, Anyo, Naruto-kun, can I sleep with you? Naruto gave her a look. Naruto asks, don't you hate me, or even scared of me? This question surprised Hinata. I've loved you since we were 8 years old, Naruto. Aishiteru, you are still Naruto Uzumaki, the person I love, regardless of whether you possess the Kyuubi. Actually, having Kyuubi makes me love you even more because it shows how strong you are to bear such a heavy load, Hinata remarked before planting a kiss on Naruto's lips. After a minute or so, they separated, and Naruto pulled out a scroll and a blanket. He told Hinata to get comfortable, and she did so, placing her head on Naruto's chest and herself between his legs. Naruto grinned, wrapped the blanket around them, and then wrapped his arms around Hinata's waist to keep her from falling off the tree. Still, he returned the kiss and hugged her to deepen the kiss. Asuma, Kurenai, Yamato, Kisame, Kakashi, Itachi, and Kisame observed the two sleeping on the tree. Hey, the young man got a girlfriend. Their wedding doesn't seem that far away, does it, Itachi? Kisame remarked in jest. Everyone stared at Itachi in shock at what he had just said. I just hope I get back in time for the wedding. You don't hear a killer say things like that very often. Kisame, let's get going. The sooner we return, the sooner we can reach Konoha. This scroll was provided to us by the Sandame. Kakashi, it clarifies everything. Sasuke Bozo and Naruto Bozo, please accept my regards. With that, the two unexpected allies vanished into the night. The senseis made the decision to read it aloud tomorrow, but as they were about to speak, they saw that everyone was asleep. Ino had placed her head on Choji's shoulder. Choji had placed his on top of Ino's. Shikamaru had been sleeping on the log he was sitting on. Sai was sleeping while seated. Kiba had been using Akamaru as a pillow, and Shino, well, he was just sitting there, but if you listen carefully, you can hear him snore after the story. It appears that they all fell asleep. Grinning, the senseis retired to their tents the following morning. Naruto opens one eye and looks around. He's still tired from the battle, but the sun's rays have been bothering him for the last 10 minutes. He then smiles and puts his arms around the Hyuga heiress before feeling the darkness lull him to sleep. After 30 seconds, Yosh. Those two were brought together by the springtime of youth, someone shouted. You're right, Lee, people need to go and grasp the springtime of youth. It won't wait for them to do so. Lee, you too need to grasp the springtime of youth, another shouted. Upon awakening from the shouting, everyone saw two of Konoha's biggest idiots. With a sigh, they prepared for the fact that they would not be able to sleep because the two would be shouting for at least 10 minutes. I'll do my best to understand the springtime of youth, Gai-sensei. I refuse to be outperformed by my eternal rival, Lee yelled. Lee, Gai-sensei. 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 Lee. Those two were, for some reason, on a rocky beach with the sun setting in the distance and the sea lapping against the shores. They all thought, since when did they use a genjutsu? Naruto, carrying Hinata's bridal style, leapt down, causing Neji's eye to twitch and give him a glare, but Neji and Tenten's earplugs didn't seem to help as the noise level increased. Hey Neji, how are you? Ignoring the two sobbing big babies, Naruto asks. The two idiots were still crying, so the four left them to join the other teams. He responded, trying to control his emotions. Tsunade-sama sent us as reinforcements, but I guessed you guys finished up. Hey Naruto, we kind of dozed off while you were telling us your story, but we get it. Look, whatever you have in mind, we don't hate you. Everyone laughed when Shikamaru said, you're you, and Kyuubi is the oversized furball who's gone now. Shikamaru was the second person to call Kyuubi an oversized furball without dying. Yeah, Naruto. Our thoughts exactly, Ino added. Naturally, Guy was aware of Kyuubi, but he was still in awe that the great Kyuubi actually softened. Neji and Tenten were looking a little perplexed as Naruto explained, and by this point, the two beasts had stopped sobbing and were listening to the story. Gosh! Naruto-kun's mastery of the springtime of youth allows him to bear such a burden without harboring animosity toward the village. You really are my enduring adversary. I have to get stronger by training. With his good guy pose, Lee yelled, and Naruto and Hinata noticed the gleam in his teeth. They both thought, next time, wear sunglasses. I've been meaning to inquire, but why are you so close to Hinata-sama, Naruto-san? Neji inquired, his eyes darting as he noticed Naruto's arm slung across Hinata's shoulder. It's because they're in love, Neji-kun. I can't lose. You want to go out with me, Sakura-chan? Lee yelled, but Sakura pushed him away. As much as I would like to wish you luck, Hiyashi probably wouldn't mind getting to know him. Hinata-sama, why don't you think again, Hinata? Neji inquires, a little happy to hear that his bashful cousin has found love, but Hiyashi is a barrier. I won't change my mind. Neji-ni-san, I've listened to that man's nonsensical orders and waited for far too long. It would be an understatement to say that everyone was shocked when Hinata ran into the woods, sobbing. I will not listen to him any longer. This is my life, not his to control. Naruto recovered first and chased after her. Well, Hinata-sama, I hope you will be strong, Neji said with a sly smile. Hinata-chan. Hold on, dang, Hinata is fast, Naruto yelled as he ran past trees and boulders using the Shunshin no Jutsu. I couldn't remember the name during my story. It's Blink. He materialized directly in front of her. Naruto was sitting up a tree with Hinata directly on top of him, their faces less than 2 centimeters apart, when Hinata failed to notice and collided with him, sending them flying into a tree. They closed in the distance and shared a passionate kiss, their tongues trying to get into each other's mouths. After some time, Hinata rests her head on Naruto's chest, and Naruto envelops Hinata in his arms before they both nod off from exhaustion. It took them half a day to get home, and with the exception of Naruto and the former Akatsuki members, they were all dragged somewhere. Naruto and the other two went to eat, where, of course, Ichiraku was, and when they entered, they discovered 2 Sannin seated there already conversing with Ayame and Tuchi. Naruto was interrupted as he flew out with a bloody nose, saying, "Hi Ero Sennin, hi Ba-chan, Itai. Well, would you like to try that again, Otouto?" With the most phony innocent smile ever, Tsunade asked. They sat down to eat, Tuchi and Ayame happy to have their number one customer back, but without the boy and his antics, things were very boring. Naruto and everyone else in the area were cowering in fear, and they had no idea how he was still alive. I'm getting too old for this work, Naruto. I'm going to announce my successor tomorrow, so you better be there, Otuto. Naruto was beaming with joy, finally receiving the respect he so richly deserves after years of torment and adversity. Additionally, you won't object if I tell them about your ancestry, correct? After shaking his head in response to Tsunade's question, Naruto placed an order for another bowl of ramen. In record time, Naruto smiled at the bowl and said, "Well, Naruto, since you're going to be Rokudame soon, I'll give you this bowl for free." "Oh, I see. Where will I live, Ba-chan? The former apartment?" Naruto inquires. "All right, Gaki, your father's house will be your new home." Jiraiya and the others laughed. "What? Your father was the Yondaime, of course he would have a house here, Baka." Naruto performed a strange ritual dance, but Ayame and Tuchi were not surprised because they had already received the news from the Sannins. After paying, they went to the Kazama house, which was in a forest. After 10 minutes, they arrived at the largest house ever. It was even larger than the Hyuga mansion. Naruto, Itachi, and Kisame were bug-eyed and in awe of the enormous, traditional Japanese-style house. The first floor had living rooms, a large dining area, a kitchen, a dojo, and even a well-kept garden. I suppose Jiraiya and Tsunade made sure to keep this place neat and orderly. The second floor has rooms and 2 libraries, and the third floor has 3 rooms. A master room, a scroll library, dojo room, and last but not least, Naruto's room, where a picture of his family is displayed. Naruto couldn't help but cry. Sarutobi was on the left, Itachi and Kisame were on the right, and Arashi was in the center with his hands resting on his mother's shoulder. Holding him, Naruto returned the picture frame to the desk he had found it on and left. They made their way to the roof, which is the 4th and last floor. Tsunade had no idea what was inside, but Jiraiya assured her that it would be a treat when they arrived. They were astounded to see a hot spring and an outside view to boot, but wait, an outside view? Naruto tried to jump out and ran straight into an invisible wall. Gaki, this is some sort of technology Arashi found, Jiraiya said with a laugh. It is see-through from the inside but not the outside due to a seal. It's truly amazing to see you know how to use special seals, Naruto. Then Jiraiya flew all the way to the opposite side of Konoha and screamed, do you think you can read the seal and teach him? While Tsunade was repairing the wall, Naruto looked around the roof and noticed the Hyuga mansion. Perhaps it was the special seal, or perhaps his merging with Kyuubi gave him enhanced vision, but to everyone else, it appeared to be just another shooting star. Except that it could speak. He also noticed Hinata changing into pajamas, indicating that she was completely nude except for her bra and underwear. When the three heard a thud, they turned to see Naruto unconscious in his own blood from his nose, specifically, while Tsunade, having somehow completed repairing the wall, approached her Otuto and examined him. Why is he bleeding when there is nothing wrong with him? Tsunade asked herself, but Itachi heard and turned to see what Naruto was staring at, the Hyuga mansion, and he pulled out a telescope to see what caused Naruto to faint. Why don't you go look over there, Tsunade-sama? Given the telescope, she discovered cause and effect. Damn you Jiraiya, you're contagious, Tsunade thought, and then she took Naruto to the master room and tucked him in. Itachi and Kisame each took a room on the second floor, and Tsunade returned to the Hokage mansion, where Jiraiya was sleeping despite being in an awkward and uncomfortable position. In his dream that night, Jiraiya was escaping from Tsunade's grasp. Itachi dreamed about chicken butt, Kisame dreamed about fish, Naruto dreamed about a girl with lavender eyes and indigo hair, and Tsunade dreamed about winning a lottery. They were supposed to go to the Hokage Tower at noon the following day, but they took about 4 hours to get there, so Naruto sparred with Kisame at Kenjutsu at 11. They left to eat, with Naruto muttering something about stupid fish people. They were tied 20-20, and for some reason, if Naruto won, Kisame would find a way to kick Naruto's butt in the next match, which was funny. As they strolled through a henge, they noticed that everyone was relieved that Akatsuki had finally been purified after 45 minutes of conversation and dining at Ichiraku. They made their way to the Hokage Tower. Everyone was excited because there was going to be a new Hokage, and they couldn't wait to find out who it was, even though it might kill them. The entire village, including clans that had constructed tall platforms for themselves to sit on, was gathered in front of the Hokage Tower. Although Tsunade detested the Hokage robes and hat, she had to wear them to events. Naruto was not allowed to leave the house until he was told to, and he was dressed exactly like his father, save for the whisker marks on his cloak, which read, Rokudame. She went on to tell the real story of Kyuubi, saying, people of Konoha, I'm sure you all wondering who my successor is, but first, a few announcements. To be honest, the majority of the younger generation did not find the way their parents treated Naruto funny, and some of them even yelled at them. Now, calm down. The second thing is that Uchiha Itachi is not the murderer we believe him to be. According to what I've learned from Jiraiya's spy network, Orochimaru is the one who is actually innocent. He took this action in order to destroy one of Konoha's most powerful clans to take control of Uchiha Sasuke. He left him alive. Orochimaru created an immortal jutsu, but he made mistakes using it, forcing him to switch hosts every 3 years. There were rumors about this. The third item is that Akatsuki have at last been put down, though put down, not destroyed. 2 ex-Akatsuki members here, Itachi and Kisame, will travel to each and one of the remaining bases to annihilate the rest. Many Junins and special Junins wanted to join in this campaign. They defeated the leader of Akatsuki, name withheld. With the help of 3 unexpected allies of found, people cheered. Before anyone could speak, Naruto stepped up with all the glory of a Kazama. Now for the final piece. The Kyuubi is dead, no longer he walks the world. The crowd cheered, but the younger ones were disgusted by the way their parents were acting. Now for my successor, it is Uzumaki Naruto. Nobody spoke until Ibaka Hyuga said the most stupid thing ever. I mean everyone, including his friends, who were all bug-eyed and in awe. You mentioned that the demon was dead, right? How come it's still there? He also attempts to mimic our esteemed Yondaime Hokage, and you lie. We have to rid the village of such evil. Everyone. The Hyuga naturally ducked from Naruto's throw of one of those special kunai he had discovered in the master room, but in the flash of yellow, the Hyuga discovered a 3-pronged kunai at his neck. Naruto just used the Yondaime's unique technique, the Hiraishin, and if the people weren't shocked and convinced before, they were now. Perhaps you will pay close attention the next time. With a killer intent so strong that it caused the Hyuga to shit his pants, Naruto said coldly. She said Kyuubi died, but she never said anything about Me dying. Naruto then eased and Shunshin returned to the tower. Now, let me state this once and for all. I, Naruto, will recognize my family name as Kazama rather than Uzumaki after saying, "I'll do what my father did and turn Konoha into a great place." Naruto and Tsunade went back inside. Everyone was trying to process this information in total silence when Itachi said, "Is there anyone here who would be brave enough to accompany us to the Akatsuki bases?" Naruto-kun thought a lot of you wanted to exact revenge on the Akatsuki for killing your families and friends. Itachi, Kisame, and a sizable contingent of shinobi departed the area after he said, "Now he wants us to enlist anyone who wants to join. Those who want to go, head towards the north gate within 2 hours. Latecomers are left behind." However, Hiyashi instructed Hinata to accompany him, and the two entered the office tower, where they overheard a conversation. "Man, so much paperwork, maybe I shouldn't have taken the job as Hokage, Datbeo," Naruto was grumbling. "Hey, Otuto, you will soon know the evils of paperwork, they will keep you up for nights and days," Tsunade thought. Naruto complained once more, "I wish I could at least get his day off, after all, I did just receive the job. Datbeo." A gentle knock on the door was followed by the words, "Come in." After the two Hyuga entered, Naruto spotted Hinata and hurried to pick her up, spinning her around. "Hinata-chan, I became Hokage at last." Tsunade, ahemed, and Naruto paused, returned to his seat, and gestured for the two to sit down. "Hiyashi-sama, how kind of you to come visit. I was going to go look for you anyhow, how can I now assist you?" The people in this room were somewhat taken aback when Naruto asked in a courteous manner. Then, Hiyashi did something that none of you readers would have anticipated. "Naruto-sama, will you wed my daughter Hinata here?" Everyone fell silent. This wasn't even on Naruto's list of things he expected Hiyashi to say. "Let me explain. Arashi was a teammate of mine back then, and we agreed that we would try to figure out what was going on if we happened to have children of the opposite sex. I'm asking you if you accept my daughter's feelings for you because I know they exist." "Hiyashi-sama, that was why I wanted to see you today. I wanted to ask for your daughter's hand in marriage." Naruto laughed, then collected himself. "Hyuga Hinata, will you marry me, Kazama Naruto?" Naruto then produced a ring that he had brought from home. "I swear to be there for you no matter what." Tsunade and Hiyashi grinned at the two lovers, and Tsunade made the decision to give Naruto some time off, which included a 1-week honeymoon and everything else. Hinata froze, accepted the ring, said yes, and gave Naruto a passionate kiss. Kuso, 2 3-pronged kunai flew in the direction of 2 nin, and the person who threw them appeared behind the nins, slitting their throats to kill them. The nins' headbands identify them as Auto, Sound, Nins, and the person who pulled out a chakra blade killed the others that approached. Naruto turned to see a person with raven hair approaching. "Sasuke, please return. I'm capable," Naruto called out to Sasuke. "And lose out on the enjoyment?" "No, I'm going because I want to exact revenge too, and you're going that hubby? Snake jerk will feel bad about killing my clan and tampering with everything," Sasuke said. Naruto smiled, and Sasuke smiled back. Since Akatsuki's demise, the two have essentially become brothers, and although they don't acknowledge it, they share a bond that no other siblings do. They continue on their path to the only Sannin who would do this. "Orochimaru." The standing figure was yelled at by the 2 Konoha nins. "Sasuke-kun finally made the decision to get back to me, huh?" Orochimaru said with a sly smile. "You bastard. You killed my clan years ago, and I'm going to exact revenge. Get your sticks and bones ready." Sasuke produced his new katana, Reikari, which is identical to the one Orochimaru had given him but has lightning-like abilities and makes it easier to use Chidori current. Sasuke swung at Orochimaru's head, who parried and pushed him away before parrying Naruto's blow. Naruto prepared his Fenrir, and the two ran forward flanking from both sides. Orochimaru took his Kusanagi from his mouth and went into defensive stance. "I will always be superior to you too. You are completely out of your league even though I didn't get your body, Sasuke-kun. I discovered jutsus that made me feel even younger. Now accept your fates, ha ha." When Orochimaru raised his arm, snakes emerged and headed toward the young Uchiha. But one snake managed to get past the defense and bite Sasuke, allowing some chakra-eating poison to seep into the arteries and eventually reach the heart, where it spread to the chakra coils. Sasuke had no choice but to use Chidori current to kill some, if not all. Naruto made the crosshand gesture, Taju Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. After observing Sasuke's situation, 500 clones appeared, and Naruto gave the order for all of them to suppress Orochimaru, while 3 of them took Sasuke and his weapon and headed for Konoha. Orochimaru then made his own clones and called forth Manda. Because he was afraid that Jiraiya might need him, Naruto decided not to risk calling forth Gamabunta. Instead, he called upon Kyuubi's chakra, which engulfed Naruto and caused 9 tails to sprout. The chakra levels were so high that even the great Manda was terrified but did not appear. Orochimaru's clones charged at Naruto while holding a kunai, and Manda attempted to restrain Naruto. As the owner of Kyuubi, he gained knowledge by putting his arms on the ground, but when he felt something pierce his chest, claws emerged from the ground, defeating the clones and Manda in one swift motion. He looked around for Orochimaru. "I won, Naruto-kun. I'll have you since I can't have Sasuke." It made Orochimaru laugh. Naruto grinned, then turned to the water. "Mizu Bunshin?" Orochimaru looked around for the fox boy, but he only caught a glimpse of the technique as a massive source of chakra approached from behind. Shuriken Fuden Rasen. The blades tore off one of Orochimaru's arms and blew open his chest, sending pieces of meat flying everywhere, before the orb imploded and left a crater behind. Naruto pushed the swirling orb into Orochimaru's chest and sent him backwards. "It's finally over, everything, Akatsuki, sound, everything, maybe finally there would be peace," Naruto said as he approached the crater and saw Orochimaru's body before descending to confirm his death. "Naruto-kun." A voice that could only be Lee's shouted. A hand seized Naruto's leg as he turned, spinning him around to watch the hubby speak. "You're coming with me if I'm dying." Orochimaru then used a teleportation jutsu. Lee saw Naruto once before he vanished. Lee went down to look around, but he couldn't find anything and couldn't even sense Naruto's presence. With a frown, he returned to Konoha with the news. The phrase, "hanging by the thread," can mean many different things, but for the Rokudame, it means his life. Orochimaru called them to the center of a volcano, where his lifeless body fell to the magma, destroying it. Naruto then used a kunai with a rope attached descended toward the crater's mouth. "Kuso, I'm not going to die here." Naruto began tugging. Apparently the walls were so wet that he was unable to use chakra to secure himself to the wall. He continued to tug, his hopes growing with each step, and his thoughts were focused on his wife and his 2 children. When he got to the top, he grinned and pulled one of the rocks to help him up, but the rock broke away. Naruto was left with only 3 words to think. "I'm sorry, Hinata." He closed his eyes and accepted his fate when an arm reached out and grabbed his hand. How? What is this?" Naruto's eyes snapped open and he turned to face his savior, who merely grinned. 1 year later, another time jump. "Oh no, it's been what seems like an eternity since I left," a man yelled. "Hey, what's your point? I've been here for about 23 years. I'm still about 25 years old, too." The first man pouted, which made the second man laugh. A second man said. Though the first man's hair was shorter than the second's, as if he had it when he was 15, the second man's hair was longer, flowing past his chin and down his face. The 2 men's attire is identical, with the exception that the second man's cloak has red flames at the bottom and the first has a black cloak with blue flames at the bottom. The first muttered, "I still can't believe I have a 25-year Otou-san. Well, son, I have no idea how the Shinigami operates either, but I can't gripe. It's time to make up for lost time, isn't it?" "Indeed, Ichiraku. Hold on, I'm going to assume that you haven't visited your Ka-san's grave. "'Kay, we visit her first, then you can do whatever you want," said the first, nodding. An additional bowl. "Oji-san." Kira sobbed. "Kira-ni-san, you're going to be height challenged like Otou-san. Don't bring up Otou-san in front of Ka-san, Kigali-chan, and don't worry, I'm not a glutton," Kira objected. 15 bowls for a 5-year-old is insufficient, Kigali sighed. Kazama Kira is just like Naruto, with blonde hair, cerulean eyes, and no Byakugan. He even wears his Otou-san's kitty clothes. Kigali also has cerulean eyes, but when she activates her Byakugan, they turn lavender, and her hair is indigo. Just like her Ka-san, both of them have Naruto's personality, but Kigali is more reserved compared to her Ka-san. "Your Imauno, or little sister, I believe, is correct," Kira-kun Hinata remarked somewhat dejectedly. "Even your Otou-san didn't eat this much when he was young." "But I'm a growing boy, Ka-san." Seeing his Ka-san's vein on her head, Kira managed to tell himself, "I need more food than others, and besides, ramen is the god of all food, except for Ka-san's cooking." Ino and Sakura are truly rubbing off the girl. "Are you coming, Hinata-chan?" When Sakura entered the ramen stand, she said, "Today was the day that Naruto went missing in action. Most likely Kia killed in action. However, the council scheduled it for the day after so that his families and close friends could pray without being too distracted." After that, Kira and Kigali left for school, promising to meet up with Iruka to visit their Otou-san after school. The entire group was standing atop the Hokage mountain, where an ebony slate with 3 names, Naruto's mother Uzumaki, Kazama Hikaru, Kazama Arashi, and Last but not least, Kazama Naruto, for an hour before starting to descend. "Why are all of you here, nay?" a voice asked. They all jumped up, staring at someone who could have given them a heart attack. Naruto, okay, big surprise, followed by Arashi, huge surprise, who knocked them all down in 5 seconds. Jiraiya, Tsunade, Shizune, Taunton, Itachi, Kisame, Team Guy, Team 7, 8, and 10 dropped. The two men began to perspire. The group woke up, screamed, and fainted for 30 minutes. This has happened 10 times already. On the 11th occasion, they simply sat and gazed. After an awkward moment, Hinata threw herself on top of Naruto and gave him a passionate kiss while yelling, "You're alive, you're alive, you're alive." When Naruto embraced his wife, everyone relaxed. The seal of Kyuubi was also a seal to imprison the user's soul. If the seal broke, the imprisoned soul would be sent back to life in its body. Then, he explained how he woke up in a foreign land and started back home. When he passed a volcano, he saw two figures falling. Intrigued, he went up to see and found a mini-me of him and saved him. Arashi's laughter caused everyone, outside of the two sucking faces, to stare at the supposed dead Yondaime. After sending Sasuke back, Naruto recounted the battle's events, and everyone listened to the story of the two Hokages. When they were finished, the others just stared, and then they saw Naruto's suck face. The village was in a frenzy as everyone laughed at Naruto's situation. Then everything happened so fast that Tsunade and the council spoke. Naruto was reinstated, and Arashi sat at the council. The day of mourning turned into a day of celebration, with Iruka fainting 50 times in 10 minutes before he regained his composure, and the children, well, they just ran Naruto over. The clones vanished, and Naruto headed home after discovering a nice way to complete all the evil paperwork. Why hasn't Kage ever thought of this? It's so damn simple, Naruto said. Upon entering, he discovered his wife sobbing while seated on the bed. Hinata-chan, what's wrong? Naruto spoke quietly. After Hinata finished telling him about a dream in which he failed to return and his body was discovered, more tears streamed down her face, and Naruto scowled as he embraced her. Hinata-chan, it's only a dream. As you mentioned, do you recall that I was the most unpredictable ninja in Konoha? I still don't know how I'd be able to resurrect myself after too many attempts. What if I promised you that I would never, ever abandon you until the day I die? Naruto said. Hinata's smile again made him melt, and he gave her a kiss that filled him with all the love he had been holding inside for a year. I don't give a damn about anything right now. I just need to be with Naruto-kun, see him, and hear him.